Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. We are back. We're back, daddy. Like we never left. Okay. All right. Alrighty. Well, as we know, RFK joins forces with Donald Trump. Telling y'all it's getting spicy now. It is getting spicy, y'all. I feel like this is what Trump needed all along. Well, I feel like even without RFK, he probably would win the election, but with RFK, bro. With RFK, come on, man. Who doesn't want healthy food? Excuse me. Who doesn't want kids to be healthy and start getting diagnosed with all sort of situations?
Well, let's eat your food.
Who doesn't want that? Shout out to my boy Zima, straight from Amsterdam. You know what time it is? Yes, sir. Telling you, man. Just really from that question, the answer attendance. I feel a little from the answer. All right, so we on RFK today, okay? I mean, I really want to watch this Jesse Walters, right? She's not talking. What is that, a guy? Oh, my Lord Jesus. Dear Lord Jesus. It's clever what RFK just did. Of course, it's clever. All right, let's go.
Particular bad.
Food coloring you see here.
RFK Jr. is throwing his support behind Donald Trump, in part because he and the former president agree on a number of key issues, and that includes the American diet and what's in our food.
I also want to salute Bobby's decades of work as an advocate for the health of our families and our children. Nobody's done more.
We talked about not about the things that separate us because we don't agree on everything, but on the values and the issues that bind us together. And one of the issues that he talked about was having safe food and ending the chronic disease epidemic. And don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
Before his announcement, I spoke with Kennedy about this very topic and a potential position in the Trump White House.
Don't you want a president that wants you to be healthy? No, I mean, I don't even know these days what y'all want to vote for. Like, for a person to even talk about the food, being healthy, isn't that what we would like for the future of our children? Like, please tell me. Like, you guys need to tell me. You guys need to tell me, man, because I don't know.
White House, take a look. I thought it'd be great to just kind of look at some of these items because parents are encountering these food items in grocery stores everywhere. Maybe we could just start right here with seed oils. We're hearing a lot about seed oils. Why should people be?
Is it just me or RFK's eyes is always watery? It's like, I know he has a medical condition though. He is what, 8 years younger than Trump? I'm telling you, man, that Trump of a guy, whoever is his doctor, they're doing the best job in the world.
Worried about these kind of products.
Seed oils are one of the most unhealthy ingredients that we have in foods. And seed oils, the reason they're in the foods is because they're heavily subsidized. They're very, very.
Shout out to Andrea. Good morning. Well, it's for me, I'm in the Eastern time zone, so it's like past 2. Shout out to you, Andrea. Shout out to Zima. Shout out to Bisola Salman. How you doing, baby girly?
Very cheap, but they are associated with all kinds of very, very serious illnesses, including body-wide inflammation,
Right.
which affects all of our health. It's one of the worst things you can eat, and it's almost impossible to avoid. If you eat any processed food, you're going to be eating seed oil.
Right. And it's interesting, the government subsidizes it. Why would the government want to subsidize something that's going to make people sick? And then in the end, we all end up paying for that in terms of healthcare costs, which are skyrocketing.
Yeah, because that is a direct result of corruption. About 75% of FDA's budget comes from regulated industry, and that means food processors and pharmaceutical industry. All of them profit from a sick population.
You know, a big item that, and by the way, it's getting very expensive, are cereals. Why is the food coloring in particular bad?
Food coloring, you see here yellow food coloring, that is a petroleum product.
What? Did he just say the food coloring is a petroleum product? God damn.
It's associated with really, with depression. It's associated with autoimmune injuries and ADHD.
Yeah.
These and red dye also is very bad. In Europe, the same companies are producing the same products, but they're using natural coloring. But here they can get away with it. We have about almost 1,000 chemicals that are in our food that are either outright banned in Europe or
This is the thing, like when somebody's talking about things that would benefit your children, your family, everybody that you say is mentally ill. Okay. Thank you, Robert. Very good.
actively discouraged. So you wouldn't be able to buy this kind of stuff in Europe. You ask about why it's so cheap, why it's so ubiquitous. It's because we subsidize the worst foods. We subsidize it with about 70% of our food stamp program is to processed foods, which are all poison.
Right. One of the things that's interesting is you'll see on labels natural flavors, which is this catch-all phrase that I guess was lobbied for, but the ingredients in natural flavors are not really natural.
No. In our country, natural flavors are chemical products. So you can't trust what's on the ingredient label. And the reason for that, again, is government corruption. It's that the agency, the USDA, the FDA have been captured by the industries they're supposed to regulate. And they all have an interest in subsidies and then in mass poisoning the American public.
Yeah, I want to talk about pesticides, and then let's talk about the policy. So let's talk about the pesticides and the things that worry you about. I mean, this looks like
his family disowned him, so how is that my business? Who cares, bro?
fresh food, right? What should I be worried about here?
Yeah, I mean, the irony is, like, for example, my wife loves kale, and she had the impression that kale is actually good for you. If it's organic, it's very good for you. But most kale and strawberries, for example, grapes, are contaminated with pesticides. And particularly the Environmental Working Group has found what they call the dirty dozen, some of the worst pesticides on these products. So, I look at a strawberry and I think, oh, this is a healthy food. Right. But in most cases, unless it's organic, certified organic, you are getting something that's actually hurting you.
Robert says it's funny that Americans live longer than they've ever lived. What are you talking about, bro? Really, bro? 1 in 5 Americans are obese. 1 in 5 Americans that you meet are obese, bro. You talking about Americans live longer than, man, sit down.
Yeah.
What can be done at a government level to stop this and make people get healthy?
Yeah, as president, I'll issue an executive order on day one that anybody who is recommending food products in USDA or FDA at any of those committees, if you are going to be on those committees, you have to have no conflict of interest. We spend 5 times our military budget on chronic disease.
Yeah.
And it's made us the sickest population in the world. And if you wonder why we're the sickest people in the world, why do we have these epidemics of ADHD and depression and all these kind of psychiatric illnesses that have been linked by the science to these kind of foods, to the ingredients in these foods? And why do we have these neurological disorders, all this epidemic of autoimmune disease?
So many of these products are geared towards.
Man, this is making sense. I ain't gonna cap.
The science to these kind of foods, to the ingredients in these foods. And why do we have these neurological disorders, all this epidemic of autoimmune disease?
So many of these products.
So there's currently an epidemic of autoimmune disease right here. I mean, I know YouTube is definitely gonna take this video down for sure. So I'm just gonna put it on private once we're done. But I mean, this is just facts and it's sad. These here, facts and sad.
It's in these foods. And why do we have these neurological disorders, all this epidemic of autoimmune disease?
So many of these products are geared towards children, which I think is what's really tragic about it. It's sort of like you're putting them at a very early age on this pathway to chronic disease. And then at the end of that is pharma to sort of cure whatever the food did to you.
The advisors who actually choose the nutrition.
That's the thing. Monkey Juice says, don't tell me what to eat. Same thing. Don't tell a woman what to do with her body. Bro, eat what you want. Eat what you want to eat. And you'll be the one living in the hospital bed.
Nutrition guidelines are almost all of corrupted. They're conflicted.
Are you willing to take on a position like this in the Trump administration as health czar?
Well, one way or the other, I'm going to be fighting to get this stuff out of our food. I mean, we're poisoned. We have a generation of kids that are swimming around in a toxic soup right now. And we need to, we're betraying them. We're supposed to be taking care of our kids. And we're letting these industries corrupt our agencies and mass poison them. And, nobody in the world has a chronic disease epidemic of the kind that we have in this country.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's a sleeper issue of this election. So I really appreciate you coming on, explaining this, breaking it down.
That was mind-blowing and at the same time eye-opening. You gotta respect someone that comes out and is confident enough to talk about a very controversial topic like that. It's not easy at all. Because it's family history.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has suspended his campaign and endorsed President Trump. The two taking the stage last night and coming together on a range of issues, including making America healthy again. Our next guest is credited with connecting RFK Jr. and Trump on the issue of America's health crisis. The co-founder of TrueMed and author of the best-selling book, Good Energy, Callie Means, joins us now. Callie, good morning. It was a remarkable night last night. Twitter is blowing up. A lot of Democrats very angry at what's happening, obviously. But talk to me about what you think this partnership, this endorsement, will actually mean for this idea of making America healthy again.
Well, Rachel, you've been saying it for over a year. The childhood chronic disease epidemic is the sleeper issue of this campaign. And last night, the forgotten child was thrust squarely into the national conversation. And from my small...
And someone says here, Trump loves McDonald's. Of course, he's allowed to love McDonald's. That doesn't mean we shouldn't still check and investigate the food that the kids are eating. He's an adult. He's 78 years old. He can eat what he wants to eat.
Vantage point, I can tell you that these two men bonded over questions about what's happening to Americans' children. Why are 50% of American teens overweight or obese when it's only 3% in Japan? Why is the American Academy of Pediatrics pushing Ozempic on 6-year-olds instead of healthy food? Why have autism rates gone up orders of magnitude in the past 20 years without changes in screenings? Why have cancer rates been exploding among kids? Why does America have the earliest puberty rate among children among any country in the world? Because of our endocrine disrupting foods that are in our food supply and our environment. these questions are at the core, I think, of what's been propelling RFK, what's been propelling Trump, what really is the defining political issue in the country, which is this populist frustration with our institutions, and the institutions that profit from sick kids are on notice right now.
Absolutely. You know,
Shout out to Sasha. Shout out to Sasha. Monkey Juice says Japanese eat vegetables and fish. Of course. Maybe we should start eating vegetables and fish, but you just said, don't tell me what to eat. Monkey, you just said, don't tell me what to eat. And now you're saying Japanese are healthy because they eat vegetables and fish. Come on, bro.
You know, last night when RFK took the stage, he actually named names. He said the USDA, the FDA, the NIH. It felt like a declaration of war on, you know, government corruption, this collusion, these inside deals that, as you say, are really hurting our children. So talk to me about what could happen in a Trump administration. Obviously, it was laid out there last night to bear. You've been advising both Trump and RFK on these issues because of your deep knowledge on this. What can we do to stop what we see happening to our kids and to our metabolic health as a nation?
There are so many things, Rachel, that can happen day one with the president who has moral clarity and courage. It starts with just getting corruption out of those institutions that you named. Americans would be shocked to learn that 95% of the USDA panel that recommends nutrition guidelines for kids are paid for by food companies or pharma companies. We can get unbiased doctors like Mark Hyman, Peter Attia, others on the USDA nutrition panel to actually have guidelines that make sense to say that there's a metabolic health crisis among kids and stop recommending sugar to 2-year-olds, which is what currently happens. But Americans would be shocked to learn that 80% of NIH grants right now go to professors with conflicts of interest. With one stroke of a pen, a president could say no more conflicts of interest in NIH grants. And we're subsidizing this food that's causing torture to children's metabolic health. Tens of billions of dollars a year go to subsidizing ultra-processed food. We can cut those subsidies with the stroke of a pen. So it's stop subsidizing, stop recommending, and give Americans flexibility. Flexible savings accounts to have their money go to food and exercise.
Well, it's an amazing topic.
They don't want to hit. Whoa! They're going deeper now. Food and exercise, man, it's about to be. I don't know who's because if Trump wins in November and he actually implements all of this with RFK, and it's like healthy food and workout exercise, just like what's his name? His dad did. Oh, his uncle, RFK uncle did. Man.
Americans flexibility, flexible savings accounts to have their money go to food and exercise.
Well, it's an amazing topic. It is the sleeper issue. I think it's going to win a lot of women over as well. Callie, you've been instrumental in bringing this to the forefront, working with both candidates. We thank you for joining us this morning. More Fox and Friends coming up.
I'm excited about this though, because if you have families and if you have anybody that is sick around you, you definitely know food can be a big issue. Food is definitely one of the things that we have to watch out for, the things that we eat, the things that we put inside of our stomach. Very, very important, because if you don't eat healthy, how are you going to be healthy?
Education Secretary Miguel Cardona announces a back-to-school bus tour in early September, which just happens to go across battleground states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania to, on the taxpayer dime, remind Americans of the Biden-Harris record on schools. While the Democrat nominee, Kamala Harris, only mentioned education one time in her DNC speech, and it wasn't exactly a policy outline.
We are not going to let him eliminate the Department of Education that funds our public schools. We are not going to let him end programs like Head Start that provide preschool and childcare for our children.
We're not going to fund anything. Joining us now is Fox News contributor and former Education Secretary under Ronald Reagan, Bill Bennett. Mr. Secretary, it's great to see you as always. She hasn't, not only did she say much there about education, she hasn't said much at all. And her speech was full of platitude, very thin on any particular policy. Is she going to get away with this?
No, she can't. No, look, Democrat convention, the appearance is attractive, but the reality is ugly and bad and awful and senseless, whether you're talking about the border, whether you're talking about the economy, or here, whether you're talking about education. He's going to do a tour. What's he going to do? A tour of empty classrooms, which was, remember Randy Weingarten?
Yeah.
The head of the teachers union. We can't open the schools. We can't open the schools. Maybe he'll tour empty schools or schools with 7-year-olds with masks on, because that was their policy. They certainly didn't increase math and reading scores.
No.
You know, we have an expression called the joy of learning. And my wife, who is in the schools, tells me, and she's been in more recently than I have, the learning's not there and the joy's not there. They have not been good for American education.
No doubt at all. If we have to get a stance from her on education, Mr. Secretary, we need to go back to her 2020 platform because she hasn't laid anything out now recently. She was for universal preschool, of course, teacher pay raises, targeted student loan forgiveness in the California. She was a senator, grants for school diversity initiative, education for girls and minorities. When she was the DA, again, more debt forgiveness. So there was a lot of it had to do with more money. And you've seen, as the education secretary, does more money equal better outcomes? And when you talk about that joy, have these diversity and equity inclusion programs they pushed into all across our classrooms, has that increased the educational benefit for kids?
No, the joy hasn't increased. The tension has increased because of DEI. But you smartly point out that list of hers. It's money, 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 money. And I expect if he does a tour of the current education secretary of those battleground states, he'll have his checkbook. And that's what they'll talk about. They have given a ton of money. Of course, that's their constituency. What, Pete, maybe 30-40% of the people at that convention were members of a union,
Yes.
teachers union, or married to a member of a teachers union. Huge representation. And it's a bribe, basically. And we know that more money doesn't mean better schools.
Can you think of an issue that's more clarifying between the left and the right these days than education? I mean, you're right. The left is totally captured by public school interests and money. Whereas you've seen a renaissance in school choice from conservatives in red states. They want to give parents more choice. Also, they define freedom as freedom.
This is another thing. Like, my daughter should be starting school next year, and I really don't like the schools around our area, like in the zip code. I feel like you should be able to go to another school in another zip code. And I'm talking about the school is just like 12 minutes away. The school that I actually think she should go to is like 12, 13 minutes away. So now I have to move away from here. We have to move away from here to be like, we have to move away from here. We have to move to another place that's like 20 minutes away from where we stay just because we want to change zip code. Because the schools around here, we don't really like it. Feel me? So I feel like, the school we want her to go is like 12 minutes away, but we have to move away from here because we're not in the same zip code. I feel like that needs to be looked into. That's not fair,
To have these smutty books in the classroom for minors, education is a really clear fault line.
Yeah, no, I'm a part of the Education Freedom Alliance for school choice, and obviously choice matters, content matters as well.
Yes, homeschooling. Susan Welch, absolutely homeschool. So like I wouldn't say properly homeschool our daughter, but we teach her how to write. We do a little bit of reading to her, but it's not like the curriculum in schools and the standard learning in schools. It's just, I would say we do our best. Like, she knows how to write. She's 4 years old, but she knows how to write. She knows how to, anything you ask her to write, she's going to write it. But it's not yet, in my opinion, it's not yet up to par, because also I called a tutor that would teach her how to read, pronunciations, and, all this type of stuff, which is going to start September 1st. And it's just going to be like twice a week. Then she will still go to pre-K because she turned she turns 5 in October, which has passed the school year. So she has to start school next year, kindergarten next year. But the school we want her to go is like not in the zip code. So we would have to move. We're going to move next year anyway because the lease expires next year here.
Well,
Correct.
maybe the only more clarifying issue would be the border. Are you in favor of opening the border or having restrictions at the border? My God, once again, back to my theme, they have this attractive presentation, but the reality that they want has to be avoided. So policy. That's what Donald Trump has to keep pushing. Got to draw her out. She's got to do some interviews. Though as the days go on, Pete, I doubt that she's going to do a lot of interviews. Maybe none.
People always say homeschool kids don't have social skills. It's a lie. This is just absolutely a lie. You can homeschool your children and you can still sign them up for YMCA. You can still take them to karate school. You can still take them to like tennis court, play games, so they can have that social interaction with other children. But when you say homeschooled kids don't get social interaction with other kids, that's because maybe you just leave them at home all day. Like they could be homeschooled, but like on the weekend or days of the week, you could take them to YMCA, or if you don't want to go to YMCA, you could sign them up for karate, swimming, sports, so they can have all of those, dancing, games, so they could have the social interaction with libraries, take them to libraries too. You know what I mean?
Except with very friendly press.
You're right. Why would she when they'll cover for her in the process?
Right.
Bill Bennett, as always,
Right.
wise words. Thank you, sir.
And if you check the stats right now is showing that homeschooled kids actually do much more better than children that actually go to schools, like public schools and stuff. Homeschooled kids do better. Like if you check the stats, y'all go check the stats. You will see that I'm right. Homeschooled children do better. This day and age, this is in 1995, bro. This is 2024.
All right, Trump is speaking in Glendale, Arizona. RFK Jr. is about to go on stage with him. You see him standing next to him. Let's just listen in here for a moment. Trump speaking, and RFK Jr. will speak in a moment.
Tonight that upon my election, I will establish a new independent presidential commission on assassination attempts. And they will be tasked with releasing all of the remaining documents pertaining to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy.
Okay. So since everybody want to die, let's go check this. Let's go check the stats right here. Homeschool. Boo boo. I'm okay, boo boo.
Daytime, right?
Hmm?
It was daytime, right?
Yeah, but you gotta take a nap. You're not going to sleep. You're actually taking a nap. So please, Aquaphone your lip. Let me give you right here. Let's take a nap, okay? Thank you. All right. All right, y'all want to talk about homeschools? I want to actually go to the Department of Education because these are like just YouTube channels. Let's just go to Google right here because everybody want to, me, I like to bring the facts. Homeschooling. You know what? Let me go on my other computer and do my research. Then I'm gonna bring it up to you on this screen because I don't want to stop what I'm playing. Okay. Let's go.
All right, Trump is speaking in Glendale, Arizona. RFK Jr. is about to go on stage with him. You see him standing next to him. Let's just listen in here for a moment. Trump speaking, and RFK Jr. will speak in a moment.
Tonight that upon my election, I will establish a new independent presidential commission on assassination attempts. And they will be tasked with releasing all of the remaining documents pertaining to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. And they will also conduct a rigorous review of the attack last month. But I tell you, I have never had more people ask me, please, sir, release the documents on the Kennedy.
All right, so here we go. Let me go check. Here we go, guys. Here we go. 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 Go, 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 go. All right. Why is homeschooling better academically? It says advantages of learning at home. It says one of the primary advantages of homeschooling is the ability to customize the curriculum to meet the specific needs and interest of the child. I feel like that alone is mind-blowing because every child would not be learning on the same pace as another child. So I mean, if you put your child in a school where everybody is like a fast learner or a slow learner, if your child is learning faster, they would have to wait until other kids catch up. If your children are learning slower, they would be looked at like they have ADHD or they're a slow learner, and then it's complaints and complaints. But if you actually work with your children on their own pace, I feel like that's the best ever. In my opinion, nobody can change my mind on that because, I'm her father. You ain't her father. Okay. So do whatever you want to do with your children. This is the thing. This is like a personal issue for me. It's not like I'm changing your mind to like be homeschooling your children or whatever. I'm just saying, like, in my opinion, I feel like my daughter should have a chance to grow at her own pace and learn at her own pace, and be given the opportunity to, grow. If she grows faster, great. If she grows slower, great. It doesn't matter as long as she learns. Because when we grow older, we don't say, I got an A in my math test. I got a this in my. Nobody cares about your grades when you grow older. The only thing we care about is, if we actually have values and if we actually are happy people when we grow older. But those are not the values in a traditional schooling system. You know what I mean? I just wanted to put that out there.
Kennedy assassination, and we're going to do that. And I also want to salute Bobby's decades of work as an advocate for the health of our families and our children. Nobody's done more. Millions and millions of Americans who want clean air, clean water, and a healthy nation have concerns about toxins in our environment and pesticides in our food. That's why today I'm repeating my pledge to establish a panel of top experts working with Bobby to investigate what is causing the decades-long increase in chronic health problems and childhood diseases, including autoimmune disorders, autism, obesity, infertility, and many more. We want every child in America to grow up and to live a long and healthy life. So I just want to ask Bobby to speak for a little while. I'll stand aside.
Carol, I got you. Carol, I got you. Andrea, just block them. Just block them. Andrea, just block them. Block their ass.
Families and our children. Nobody's done more. Millions and millions of Americans who want clean air, clean water, and a healthy nation have concerns about toxins in our environment and pesticides in our food. That's why today I'm repeating my pledge to establish a panel of top experts working with Bobby to investigate what is causing the decades-long increase in chronic health problems and childhood diseases, including autoimmune disorders, autism, obesity, infertility, and many more. We want every child in America to grow up and to live a long and healthy life. So I just want to ask Bobby to speak for a little while. I'll stand aside. I'm going to stand aside. But I can only tell you, I've known him a long time. We've been a little bit on the opposite side of the equation, but I will say this, he is a brilliant, I still think of him as young. He's not that young. I always call him young, but he's not that young. But he is a phenomenal person, a phenomenal man who loves the people of this country as much as anybody can love the people of this country. So, Bobby, please say a few words. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is inspiring, guys. A Democrat and a Republican on the same stage in harmony. Come on, man.
Thank you, President Trump. Thank you. Now, a few hours after the assassination attempt at Butler, I got a call from a safe food advocate named Kelly Means, who's been fighting for many years to try to end the corruption at CDC and FDA and USDA. And these institutions, these regulatory agencies are actually run by the big food processing companies, the big ag and the chemical companies that they're supposed to regulate. And he said to me that he'd been advising me for many years and on my campaign. And he told me that night that he was also advising President Trump. And he asked if I would talk to President Trump. And I said, of course. And about a few minutes later, I got a call from the president. And we talked. We had a very good talk. And then he invited me to come see him the next day. And I went to Minneapolis and saw him. We met again a couple of weeks later in Florida. And we talked about, not about the things that separate us because we don't agree on everything, but on the values and the issues that bind us together. And
that's the thing. We don't have to agree on everything, guys. We don't have to agree on everything. We just have to be Americans. Like, let's just focus on, building a better future for the children. We don't have to agree on everything. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
And I went to Minneapolis and saw him. We met again a couple of weeks later in Florida. And we talked about, not about the things that separate us because we don't agree on everything, but on the values and the issues that bind us together. And one of the issues that he talked about was having safe food and ending the chronic disease epidemic. Our children are now the unhealthiest, sickest children in the world. Don't you want healthy children? And don't you want the chemicals out of our food? And don't you want the regulatory agencies to be free from corporate corruption? And that's what President Trump told me that he wanted. He also told me that he wanted to end the grip of the neocons on U.S. foreign policy. He said he didn't want any more $200 billion wars in Ukraine, that we could use that money back here in the United States. And the safest, the best way to build a safe America is to rebuild our industrial base.
Wait. Ellie, did I just read that right? You said people who cared about women, humanity. Okay, so safe food and trying to stop all this epidemic diseases, autoimmune situation. It's not for humanity. Okay.
Sickest children in the world. Don't you want healthy children? And don't you want the chemicals out of our food?
Ellie, these questions are for you, Ellie. Ellie, I want you to be put your answer in the chat, Ellie. He's talking directly to you, Ellie. Answer the goddamn question.
Our children are now the unhealthiest, sickest children in the world. Don't you want healthy children? And don't you want the chemicals out of our food? And don't you want the regulatory agencies to be free from corporate corruption? And that's what President Trump told me that he wanted. He also told me that he wanted to end the grip of the neocons on U.S. foreign policy. He said he didn't want any more $200 billion wars in Ukraine, that we could use that money back here in the United States. And the safest, the best way to build a safe America.
Shout out to Reverse Nacho. Shout out to Andrea. Shout out to Jason, Zima, Monkey Juice, Ellie, everybody on the chat. God bless you. Thank you for pulling up. Subscribe to the channel, like the live show. You know what time it is. RFK, Donald J. Trump. Man, this is your next president. You better get used to it.
Is to rebuild our industrial base and rebuild the middle class in this country. And don't you want a president who's going to get us out of the wars and who's going to rebuild the middle class in this country? And he told me that he wanted to end the censorship because the whole basis of American democracy is the free flow of information. And we know that a government that can silence its opponents has license for any kind of atrocity. And can you think of any time that you can look back in history and say that the people who were censoring were the good guys?
Yo. We got to put some respect on RFK Jr.'s name right now. He has no teleprompter, guys. Absolutely no teleprompter. Yeah, he's smart.
They're always the bad guys because it's always the first step down that slippery slope to totalitarianism. And don't you want a president who's going to protect America's freedoms? And who is going to protect us against totalitarianism? And I want to ask you again, don't you want a safe environment for your children? Don't you want to know that the food that you're feeding them is not filled with chemicals that are going to give them cancer and chronic disease? And don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again? Thank you all very, very much, and God bless you, and God bless America.
All right. So you just heard RFK Jr. Those were very brief remarks. I'd anticipated actually, Philip, that it could have gone longer than that. But first appearance together, endorsement, obviously hitting on his key issues, chronic disease, which was the one that fell on the most fertile ears with a lot of people, right? Autoimmune diseases and infertility and obesity, big food, all of that. Foreign policy neocons, make America healthy again, the line. All right. But as you say, those aren't specifically chronic disease, anything you've ever heard Trump say before.
Yeah, no, I actually looked earlier. I looked because what he just said there, what RFK said is what he said when he dropped out earlier today. I looked to see if Donald Trump had ever mentioned chronic disease, particularly in this context, and he had not. I mean, he did this. I mean, look, it's Donald Trump.
Nobody cares, bro. Nobody cares, bro. We don't care, bro. Now he's mentioning chronic disease. Is that what you should be talking about? Or actually saying, he's concerned about chronic disease, so maybe we should all be concerned about chronic diseases. Oh, I didn't think so.
There's pictures of the guy eating McDonald's on his plane. Like, this is not a guy who's deeply dedicated to healthy eating, right? I mean, the other things he said, like the thing about censorship, just total nonsense, right? He's referring to this Twitter file stuff, which has been debunked 1,000 times over. He said Donald Trump's going to protect us from totalitarianism because of the censorship thing. Like, all these things that he's saying,
right?
Again, you know, to go back to the point that he also tried to get Kamala Harris to like give him a deal as well. So I mean, it's also just like starkly insincere in a way that I think is pretty remarkable.
And yet, I mean, obviously you hear that's a rally. So you're going to have the response you have, Aisha. But is it possible that this does fall on some fertile ears, particularly because he's leading with the issue that many people found compelling, right? The issue of chronic disease is an issue that Americans do face.
But even the communication of it just felt a little bit incoherent to me. And that's the thing that struck me, because it actually did feel rather Trump-light in that he repeated the same 3 lines twice, once at the beginning, then coming back to it. Don't you want it to be safe for your kids and to get rid of chemicals in food, right? So
because it's key issues. Okay, we have sick parents, siblings, spouses, children, family members, friends, colleagues. Don't you? You do. You look like you do now. So what are you saying? He should repeat it multiple times because this is a very big issue in the United States. Most people are on pills, medications and stuff. Come on, man. This is the thing. Like, we should not, like, I don't care if whoever you want to vote for whoever you want to vote for. But this is a very big issue in the United States.
It was formulaic. It felt like a whole lot of ramble in the middle. It felt contradictory as well, because he went into this thing about totalitarianism and do you want somebody who's going to weaponize the government against you? Right. When in fact, that's exactly what Donald Trump has threatened to do time and time again, is weaponize the government against his enemies, essentially. So
what is she saying? This is somebody that was indicted. This is the first, well, maybe not the first, but like in the modern years, this is the first president that has been indicted. Like, what are you saying? And you're saying he's weaponizing the government? He hasn't done any weaponization of the government. He should have done that with Hillary, but he didn't do that. But here we go. Y'all did this to him. And now you want to talk about, come on, man, we did Russia to impeachment after everything he did. I'm not even a Republican, but we're not going to be blind to these things. Everybody's getting tired of the same rhetoric, the same thing every single year. Every 4 years, he's a bad guy, he's a racist, he's a this, he's a that, he's a bully, come on, man.
It was formulaic. It felt like a whole lot of ramble in the middle. It felt contradictory as well, because he went into this thing about totalitarianism and do you want somebody who's going to weaponize the government against you? Right. When in fact, that's exactly what Donald Trump has threatened to do time and time again, is weaponize the government against his enemies, essentially. So it all felt like really aligned with this rally, because it's just as rambling and incoherent as most of what Trump has to say.
Mark and Lulu, I want to get you in here. Tom Foreman is here now, though, because as Philip was talking about, you know, this issue of chronic disease, how does it actually fit? What has Trump said? Tom Foreman, what have you found just looking over the facts here?
Yeah, looking over the facts here, in 2020, the World Health Organization looked at 180 countries around the world. RFK Jr. just said that our children are now the unhealthiest, sickest children in the world. The World Health Organization said, yeah, we ranked 39th in the world out of 180 countries. So not as good as it could be, but nowhere near the worst. And when he kept saying, don't you want a safe environment for your children? Don't you want a safe environment for your children? It's important to remember Trump, as president, rolled back dozens of measures out there to make clean water, clean air, the very things that create a clean environment for our children.
Mm-hmm. Right. And of course, you're talking about food supply. When you talk about safe environment, I mean, obviously, gun violence being the top issue, and they're talking about food.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. suspending his presidential bid today and throwing his support behind Donald Trump. Brian Todd is joining us right now with more. Brian, RFK Jr. has had more than his fair share of strange, rather memorable, often very controversial moments since launching his campaign.
Right, Wolf. This campaign has been so bizarre, so fraught with strange stories and accusations that several members of Robert Kennedy Jr.'s own family are calling this whole thing sad. Analysts say it's put a stain on the reputation of one of America's great political dynasties.
In my heart, I no longer believe that I have a realistic path to electoral victory.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who started his run as a Democrat, then switched to being an independent, bows out of the race and endorses Donald Trump. And with that, one of the most unique presidential bids in American history.
Ellie says, will you be okay when he loses? If he loses, fine. I'm gonna live my life. But if he wins, I don't think y'all are gonna be okay, Ellie. This is just the facts. I don't think you guys will be okay if he wins. Even if he's fighting for your children to have safe food, he's fighting to bring the inflation that you're going through down, is fighting for your mortgage rate to come down, is fighting for the people. Like, you still don't want him to win. I'm just saying, if he doesn't win, absolutely okay by me. But if he wins, I don't think y'all would be like, I don't know why you won. Y'all be. If he loses, I'm not gonna cry. It is what it is, but I'm just going to be ready for the highest inflation of all and Infinity Wars.
Comes to a close.
This isn't just your typical bizarre campaign. This is almost carnival-like.
In May of this year, Kennedy claimed that a parasitic worm had once entered his brain and died, which he said led to, quote, severe brain fog and trouble with his short-term memory. He actually joked about it.
Maybe a brainworm ate that part of my memory.
A few weeks ago, in a rambling video posted on X, Kennedy admitted that about 10 years ago, he was driving in upstate New York when he found the carcass of a dead bear that had been hit by a vehicle.
So I pulled over and I picked up the bear and put him in the back of my van because I was going to skin the bear.
Kennedy said he got sidetracked by several events that day, couldn't go home, didn't know what to do with the bear.
Exactly, Ellie. Now we are about to demand better from these manufacturers, but you don't want to vote for people who want to do it, do you now?
So he decided to leave the carcass in New York's Central Park and make it look like a bike accident.
So we went and did that, and we thought it would be amusing for whoever found it or something.
The whole story, the wild, weird story that RFK Jr. told about the bear cub and how it got into Central Park.
We don't care, bro. We don't care. Okay? Nobody cares. We like him like that.
Has really made an impact, and not a positive one for him.
This summer, an article in Vanity Fair had a photo of Kennedy appearing to pantomime eating a dog carcass. Kennedy denied it was a dog.
It's actually me eating a goat in Patagonia.
That same Vanity Fair article published allegations that Kennedy had sexually assaulted a former nanny for his family. Kennedy.
Here we go. Everybody, here we go. The typical playbook. Sexual assault. Andrea. Here we go. Here we go.
Me eating a goat in Patagonia.
That same Vanity Fair article published allegations that Kennedy had sexually assaulted a former nanny for his family. Kennedy sidestepped the accusations.
I am not a church boy.
All this following repeated episodes where Kennedy baselessly called the COVID-19 vaccines unsafe and espoused outlandish conspiracy theories about the vaccines.
COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and Black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese.
It's all led to a precipitous fall from grace for the son of an American political icon. Today, after he dropped out of the race and endorsed Trump, 5 of Kennedy's siblings issued a statement saying it's, quote, a sad ending to a sad story. Donald Trump has said he'd be open to appointing Robert Kennedy Jr. to a position in his administration if Trump wins in November. The analysts we spoke to say if Trump does that, it could create real problems for him. starting with the fact that because of his past behavior, it would be very tough to get Kennedy confirmed in Congress. Wolf?
Brian Todd reporting for us. Brian, thanks very much. I want to dig deeper right now with CNN political analyst Maggie Haberman. She's a senior political correspondent for the New York Times as well. Maggie, thanks for joining us. The New Yorker wrote this in a profile of RFK Jr. earlier this month, and let me read it to our viewers. In a recent text exchange, Kennedy told one person that Trump was a, quote, terrible human being, the worst president ever, and barely human. He is probably a sociopath, close quote. So how did this unlikely endorsement today of Trump come about?
Kamala Harris called President Joe Biden a racist. Okay. Biden sent black men to jail. Okay. Kamala had evidence of, she had document like evidence to free a man from death row, and she didn't bring it forth. I don't know if the man was sentenced to death or he later survived. I don't have that full information. But everybody has done something in their past that they shouldn't have done. Okay, so when we keep going back and say this person said this, if we were looking back at what Joe Biden has done, black people shouldn't even vote for him. As a matter of fact, he shouldn't even be in the conversation for being the president of the United States, but yet he is. Same thing with Kamala, yet she is. So when you want to say things about things people have done in the past, it's like we all say or have done things in the past that we regret as human beings, but that doesn't mean we cannot change. Change is the only constant thing. So as long as someone has changed and they're looking for a better future for our country, and of course their actions is actually showing that they've changed. It's all about the actions, not words. You can't tell me you've changed without the action. If you take a look at Trump's 2016 to 2020, we had the best economy. We had the best. There was low inflation, no wars. If you're saying this man is going to be a authoritarian person, is going to be a dictator, yet there was no war around the world. There was nothing like Ukraine. There was nothing like Israel and the Palestinian people. Yet you guys want to say this person is the bad guy. Now he wants to make the food healthy. You still don't want him to do it. Damn sure Kamala Harris ain't gonna do that. You know she ain't finna do it. She ain't even solved inflation yet. Sending billions to Ukraine, and you think she's gonna make your food healthy? I don't think so.
So, Wolf, these are two very transactional people, and Robert Kennedy Jr. has been looking around, trying to make some kind of an endorsement deal with both candidates. The Washington Post reported recently that he had approached the Harris campaign about possibly supporting her and getting a meeting, and there was no meeting, but Trump has been much more receptive. Remember, these are two people, Kennedy and Trump, who met during Trump's 2017 transition. Bobby Kennedy claimed that Trump was going to appoint him to some kind of a vaccine commission, and then Trump's aides quietly distanced Trump from it. But Trump is open to having discussions with him. He likes him. Trump is a credentialist, and he likes the Kennedy name. So this all began shortly before the Republican National Convention, and it's been moving toward this. I think that RFK Jr. clearly sees he does not have a real path in this race, and this is a way to be relevant.
Trump called into Fox and Newsmax immediately after Kamala Harris's speech last night. Listen to part of what he said, Maggie.
It was a lot of complaining. She didn't talk about China. She didn't talk about fracking. She didn't talk about crime. She didn't talk about 70% of our people are living in poverty. She didn't talk about the trade deficit. She didn't talk about child trafficking that she's allowed to happen because she was the border czar and she presided over the weakest border in the history of our country.
By the way, the beeping you heard appears to be Trump inadvertently hitting buttons on his phone. So what do these interviews, Maggie, say about his mindset now?
Look, he's very reactive in all things when he is not in command, and we have seen this over the course of the last 9 years that he's been in politics or in the political arena. He is clearly, jarred by her. He has been trying to get back into the national conversation for several weeks now, ever since President Biden announced he wasn't running for re-election. He's doing that with this RFK endorsement today. He did it last night. He is trying to point out the areas where she separated herself, at least by omission, from President Biden, excuse me, in terms.
Did she just say President Biden? Oh my Lord.
Today. He did it last night. He is trying to point out the areas where she separated herself, at least by omission, from President Biden, excuse me, in terms of not tying herself to their joint record. There are a number of Trump's aides who would like him to basically just be saying Biden, Harris all the time. And so that's his way of doing that. We'll see if he can sustain it.
I thought it was interesting that when President Obama took the stage at the Democratic convention, he made a comment about Trump's obsession with his crowd sizes. I want to play that clip. Listen to this.
There's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
How has that moment landed with the former president?
So both of the Obama's speeches got under his skin. He is very reactive to both of them. We have seen that since 2011, when Trump spread the lie that President Obama was possibly born in Kenya and therefore illegitimate to be president. I think you're going to see more of this. What I was struck by, Wolf, in this convention is there was a pretty focused message about Trump, and we heard it over and over again from the Obamas, from the vice president, from others, that he is a rich guy who cares about his rich friends. But what you also saw were comments that I think were designed to bait Trump. That was one of them. The more that Trump reacts self-destructively, the better Democrats feel it is for them.
Important point. Maggie Haberman, thank you very much for your excellent analysis.
Breaking news, Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign now just responding to RFK Jr., saying this as he dropped out of the race, endorsing Trump.
Following my first discussion with President Trump, I tried unsuccessfully to open similar discussions with Vice President Harris. Vice President Harris declined to meet or even to speak with me.
I want to go straight to Priscilla Alvarez, who has been speaking with the Harris campaign. So Priscilla, now we just heard what RFK Jr. said, and now you've talked to the Harris campaign. They're responding. What are they telling you?
Well, their focus is on the voters. They see an opportunity here to try to appeal to some of those voters who may have gravitated to RFK Jr. because they were disillusioned by Trump and then candidate President Joe Biden. So now they're putting out Kamala Harris as an option. Saying this in a statement, this is from the campaign chair, Jen O'Malley Dillon, quote, "For any American out there who is tired of Donald Trump and looking for a new way forward, ours is a campaign for you." This is echoing the message that the vice president gave yesterday during that speech at the Democratic National Convention. It's something we can anticipate in the weeks to come because, of course, it's going to be a close race. And to get to these votes.
No, it ain't going to be no goddamn close race. It's not going to be a close race. We know what the economy is saying, boo-boo, okay? Stop trying to tell people, of course it's going to be a close race. It's not a close race.
Voters, they're going to have to spend money. Now, we know the campaign has already put aside millions of dollars in digital and TV ads, but I'm also told that Harris advisors are having conversations about to keep the momentum going on fundraising, especially the grassroots donations. Those are harder to predict, so they have to capitalize on moments or create moments to inspire those donations. I'm also told they're talking about fundraising events, including potentially splashy ones, to keep that up. Now, of course, the vice president is clear-eyed on what comes next, and I'm also told that the debate, that September presidential debate, is another event that she is focused keenly on in the weeks to come. Aaron.
All right, Priscilla, thank you very much with that new reporting.
Timothy, key point. Shout out to Andrea. Drive safe, Andrea. Timothy, key point. RFK Jr. would have supported anybody that was willing to listen to him about the disease, the autoimmune situation, the chronic diseases, also the food, unhealthy foods, and the ingredient in these foods. He would have supported anybody that was willing to listen to those points. So it's not about getting cabinet position or whatever. It's about his own agenda, which is, talking about the food, talking about the health of American society, and all of those things. That's what he was prioritizing. It's not about cabinet position. This is the thing. It's not about cabinet position. It's about who is willing to listen to his own agenda, which his agenda is actually good for the American people. And now Trump happened to listen, because Trump always listens to everybody, and he always talks to the press. He always talks to the media, everybody. But Kamala, she's been hiding. This is why I believe that I'm sure her campaign were like, you don't have to talk to RFK. You don't have to talk to RFK. Because she doesn't even talk to anybody. She doesn't do media. She hasn't even been to CNN. Like CNN, okay, go to CNN, no. So the first time we're going to see a Kamala conversation, interviews, press conferences would be on the debate stage September 10. I promise you guys, she will flop. And it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. Because it's going to hurt me too. Because she's a woman. I don't want her to flop. So she needs to come out now and start putting in the workout, getting the reps in by talking to this media, so she doesn't flop on September 10th, because it's looking like she about to flop. There's not gonna be there wouldn't be teleprompter and stuff like that.
From the Harris campaign. Out front now, Stephen Kennedy Smith. He is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s first cousin. So the way it goes is this. Stephen is the son of Jean Kennedy Smith, who is John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy's sister. So his father, Stephen Smith, a key political advisor to JFK. Stephen endorsed President Biden's reelection. He now supports Kamala Harris. So just so Stephen, everyone understands where you're coming from here. Today, your cousin suspended his campaign, throws his support behind Trump. For you, this is, obviously deeply personal. This is your first cousin. You have known each other since you were very young boys. Just to show pictures you as you were growing up, teens, a lot of your life. This is your first cousin. What do you think about this endorsement tonight?
Well, look, I agree with what one of your guests said earlier, which is that Robert F. Kennedy Sr. would be rolling over in his grave. His most famous speech was after Martin Luther King was killed, and he said, what we need in this country is not division, is not hatred, it is not violence and lawlessness. And that's exactly what Donald Trump.
Just looking at his tie and that shirt tells me everything.
Trump has promulgated by promoting the attack on the Capitol that killed.
We're not going to talk about his hair, though. We're not going to talk about his hair. No, we're not going to talk about his hair.
Killed so many people. So for Bobby to endorse Donald Trump is an explicit betrayal of his father's stated values. That's as clearly as I can say it. The other thing I would say is that he was adjudged by a court in New York to have filed a false ballot application in New York, so he was going to be removed from the ballot in New York as well as 18 other states.
First of all, that is your cousin, bro. Like, I wouldn't, no matter what it is, like if you grew up with your cousin, your family members, I would rather not talk than to talk against my family member, especially on live TV, bro. Yeah, I don't have respect for anybody who comes out and bash their family like this. Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. You may not like him. You may not like the fact that he's going to support Trump and work with the Trump campaign. But in my opinion, a family member, no matter what your family member is doing, you should not come out in public and bash your family members. Okay? Keep that to yourself. Talk about it in your family and come to a conclusion within your family, not to the world. Talking about his father will be rolling in his grave. For real, bro.
Similarly, in Arizona, he couldn't account for his signatures. He was going to be off the ballot in Arizona, so he really had no choice but to drop out of the race. And in the weeks up until today, he tried to negotiate a deal with both different campaigns. So if I were an RFK voter, I would be wondering about following the example and the recommendation of someone who was trying to make a deal for himself with both campaigns. That seems self-serving and opportunistic.
So I know obviously you see this as a point of, political opportunism, expediency. Perhaps there are other words that you would use that capture your feelings better. But your cousin has said that the problem here is that the Democratic Party left him and that the Democratic Party has shifted. And he talked a little bit about that. I wanted to give you a chance to hear what he said.
It had become the party of war, censorship, corruption, big pharma, big tech, big ag, and big money.
He often references, to this point about his father rolling over in his grave. He references his father. He references your uncle. He references them. And he says the opposite. He says they would not recognize today's Democratic Party and that he is staying true to the principles as he sees of his father and his uncle. Do you think it's possible that he does truly believe that?
I mean, I don't know what Bobby believes because he's been a Democrat, then he's been an independent. Now apparently he's a Republican. He's negotiated for a job with both parties at the same time. He's made a lot of inconsistent and bizarre statements. So I really can't say what Bobby believes. As far as what the Democratic Party stands for, the Democratic Party under JFK, RFK, and EMK stood for universal health care. It stands for protection of the environment. It stands for tax cuts for the middle class. It stands for human rights and civil rights. Those are all the things that Kamala Harris spoke about last night. So the Democratic Party still stands for the same thing. The only problem that Bobby doesn't understand, it's not about him, it's about the country. And so the fact that he's disappointed in the Democratic Party says more about him than it does about the Democratic Party.
All right. Well, Stephen, I appreciate your taking the time. And as I said, I know it's a difficult time when it's someone you've known.
This right here is just, it's sad. This is absolutely sad that you would allow the media to use you against your own family members. You come on live TV to talk some BS about your cousin that you grew up with.
As I said, I know it's a difficult time when it's someone you've known your whole life, part of your family. So thank you very much for coming out and sharing your thoughts, Stephen.
Absolutely. And, I just want to say that I grew up, and you may relate to this, Aaron, in a Catholic school. In a Catholic school, I was taught you can dislike someone's behavior, but you always treat them courteously. And so that's the way we handle things in our family. But I felt an obligation to speak out on this.
All right. Well, Stephen, and thank you.
Nah, he want to talk about we handle it in the family, but I felt the obligation to speak out about this. Man, sit down, bro. You know you fucked up. You fucked up. You know it. So now you want to try to change the narrative. You done fucked up, dog. You fucked up. Coming out here talking about your goddamn cousin to the goddamn world. We don't even care about you no more. Yeah, we don't want to hear nothing about you no more.
Family, but I felt an obligation to speak out on this.
All right. Well, Stephen, and thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate
They don't care
that.
about you,
Sharing
bro.
it here.
Your cousin cares about you. Your cousin, once you are on your sick bed, CNN ain't gonna come check you on your goddamn sick bed. But guess what? Your cousin would be there. Now you done spoke nothing. You done spoke trash about your cousin in public. Never ever throw your family members under the bus, bro. Never. Ever. Bunch of BS. Yeah, he fucked up.
Thank you. A few hours after the assassination attempt at Butler, I got a call from a safe food advocate named Kelly Means, who's been fighting for many years to try to end the corruption at CDC and FDA and USDA. And these institutions, these regulatory agencies are actually run by the big food processing companies, the big ag and the chemical companies. that they're supposed to regulate. And he said to me that he'd been advising me for many years and on my campaign. And he told me that night that he was also advising President Trump. And he asked if I would talk to President Trump. And I said, of course. And about a few minutes later, I got a call from the president. And we talked. We had a very good talk. And then he invited me to come see him the next day. And I went to Minneapolis and saw him. We met again a couple of weeks later in Florida. And we talked about, not about the things that separate us because we don't agree on everything, but on the values and the issues that bind us together. And one of the issues that he talked about was having safe food and ending the chronic disease epidemic. Our children are now the unhealthiest, sickest children in the world. Don't you want healthy children? And don't you want the chemicals out of our food? And don't you want the regulatory agencies to be free from corporate corruption? And that's what President Trump told me that he wanted.
Obviously hitting on his key issues, chronic disease.
Oh, we already seen this one. I don't know what everything he said was 100% facts. Now we've seen CNN. Let's go to Fox. Okay.
I will establish a new independent presidential commission on assassination attempts. And they will be tasked with releasing all of the remaining documents pertaining to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. And they will also conduct a rigorous review of the attack last month.
Donald Trump vowing full transparency on the JFK assassination if reelected, and to take the lead in investigating the attempt on his own life.
Meanwhile, at least 5 Secret Service agents were pulled from the field and placed on administrative duties, one of them from Trump's personal protective team, following that fateful day in Pennsylvania.
Florida Congressman Michael Waltz is on the committee investigating the Trump assassination attempt, and he joins us now. Congressman, great to have you on the show. We had to see.
What were you doing? This is a question for the chat. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, whatever, independent like me, but like, what were you doing when you saw this video? Or were you watching this live, or like, did you just get a report that President Trump has been shot? What were you doing on this particular day?
Were pulled from the field and placed on administrative duties, one of them from Trump's personal protective team, following that fateful day in Pennsylvania.
Florida Congressman Michael Waltz is on the committee investigating the Trump assassination attempt, and he joins us now. Congressman, great to have you on the show. We had a Secret Service, we had a former Secret Service agent on the show a little bit earlier. He was very animated. This is all too little too late. Do you think this investigation or this proposal by Trump would help us towards finding, not just accountability, but the truth on his attempted assassination and others?
Well, we'll take a step back for a moment, and I applaud the president for doing this because he and himself personally, his first administration, and then how he's conducting himself in this campaign is all about transparency. And after years of Russiagate, after us, the nation watching the Department of Justice be weaponized against political opponents, President Trump is trying to bring whatever transparency he can onto the federal government and restore people's trust in the intelligence community, in the Justice Department, and across their government. And so much trust has been lost, down to the point where I sat there and he promised the 13 Gold Star families from Abbey Gate, when he gets back into office, all the tapes, all the videos, all the emails, everything will be released so that they can have full visibility on what happened. So going back 60 years to the JFK assassination, why are there still nearly 5,000 heavily redacted or partially redacted documents? President Trump released a number of them while he was in office. But come on, 60 years later, you're going to argue that there's still some type of classified material from 60 years ago that needs to be protected. So I think it's all about transparency. I applaud it.
Yeah, I want more transparency too. I also want everything from 9/11 declassified. I want the Epstein stuff declassified. I want it all declassified. I think people have lost trust in our institutions. One of the things that also troubles me is whenever we have situations like this, by the way, this is a huge issue. I mean, the president was almost shot in the head. A Republican voter was killed, and 2 were very seriously injured, almost died as well. So we know there's this kid, and he has encrypted accounts. Why don't we know more about him? And would you explain exactly what he means by encrypted accounts?
Well, the task force received an FBI briefing this week. They are having some progress in getting into these encrypted accounts. Why? So for example, if you have, say, Signal or WhatsApp, these popular apps, they're based in the United States, and law enforcement can go through a fairly efficient process through the courts to get subpoenas and to get access with probable cause. But if they're deliberately based overseas, everyone knows, whether they're foreign intelligence agencies or terrorist groups, that it is much more difficult for us to access. So why did this 19-year-old healthcare aide have accounts based in 3 different countries, in Germany and Belgium and in New Zealand? That makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me how he learned how to construct multiple IEDs with a remote detonator that was on his body without any flags and without anyone noticing. So the other thing that bothers me, Rachel, is that in multiple briefings, the FBI has been very quick to say we think he acted.
Shout out to everybody watching the live show. You know what time it is. The Prince of Amsterdam, Zima, and the beautiful Amanda Levy. Welcome to the live show. Drew, Jacob, Ian, Sizzler. Even if you don't, agree with what we're talking about, I'm just gonna give you a shout out. Christelle Marie. Shout out to you. Crispy. Shout out to you. Crash Effort. Shout out to you. Anyway, subscribe to the live show. Subscribe to the channel. Like the live show, and let's get it.
Alone, yet he had all of this other activity, and then in the same breath they say we still don't know motive. And you overlay that with ongoing Iranian plots, an indictment for which was just unveiled just in the last few weeks, where a Pakistani-born operative with ties to Iran was putting down payments on hitmen in addition to recruiting spotters and recruiting protesters, a sophisticated plot. So look, we have so much to uncover here. And my frustration is the FBI and the Secret Service are moving at a snail's pace. They're acting like this is a one-time incident that we can take our time to really unpack. No, these plots are happening right now as we speak. We have a foreign enemy trying to kill our former president. We need to be releasing information as we get it, and they need to move a lot faster, in my view.
Man, that's the kind of information we need to be hearing and understanding and processing. Otherwise, as I mentioned, 60 years from now, we're going to be studying this because they covered it up in real time, just like we are doing now with what happened to JFK. Congressman Michael Waltz, thanks for doing everything you can to try to get us info. We need it.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian.
I mean, it is just what it is. I feel like, let's watch this.
Character, the DNC and its media organs engineered a surge of popularity for Vice President Harris based upon, well, nothing. No policies, no interviews, no debates, only smoke and mirrors and balloons.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. accusing Democrats and the media of staging Kamala Harris' ascension as the nominee without one primary win to show for it. And in addition to endorsing Trump, Kennedy has withdrawn his name from the ballot in several battleground states. Here to react, Fox News contributor and former economic advisor to President Obama, Robert Wolf. He's very nervous about this interview. He called Pete ahead of time. He's like, you're going to make Will do this. So Robert stuck
I was actually saying that you can use Pete to make it more fair. That's
I need a tag team partner. And he said, that's the only way. One-on-one, and I get knocked out by Robert Wolf. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do my best to bob and weave, Robert.
I'm telling you, me too.
Let me ask you this. You got to bob and weave against what's going on here within your party. Okay, RFK, lifelong Democrat. Nicole Shanahan, lifelong Democrat. Not only do they drop out of the race, they throw their support to Donald Trump. What a statement, Robert.
So I saw what you played before. He wanted to run as a Democrat. He wanted to meet with Vice President Harris last week. 3 months ago, this was his quote. RFK said President Trump scanned the American worker. He had a tax cut for the rich. He's been all over the place. So I think that for the most part, I think he's going to be somewhat irrelevant. Third-party candidates, are most important when they're third-party.
Yeah, but he's not.
Impacted.
Right.
Right.
Right. Well,
endorses don't mean let me just 10 seconds.
Okay.
Endorses don't mean a lot. What means a lot is when they're a third-party candidate and they get either the double haters or the disinfected voters. Perot impacted Clinton Bush, Nader impacted Gore Bush, and Stein impacted Trump Clinton. The data showed, I looked at the data, it shows that it's less than 0.2%.
Okay, I hear your point, but it's not entirely accurate in that you're leaving out. What he is going to do is leave his name on the ballot in some states and in others withdraw and throw his support to Donald Trump. Now, that's 5 percentage points. That's
not 5 percentage points.
Hold on. That's what he's polling at right now, Robert. He's polling at 5.
Yeah,
hold on. I gave you your extra 10 that turned into 20.
Right, that's fair.
But
your turn.
The 5 percentage points, I'm not going to sit here and tell you today, all 5 are going to Donald Trump. But that's not necessary, Robert. We're talking about Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Arizona, how this affects an election that could come down to tens of thousands of votes. I think it's fair. Not fairly. I think it's very significant. I'm going to come back to why in a moment because you brought up why he picked to go with Trump. But just the effect of this, I think it has the potential to be very effective on the outcome of the presidential election.
Yeah, I would disagree. So I view it, you say 5%. I saw internals at 2.5 to 3%. And I think that it's viewed like it's 54-46 Trump versus Harris. If you look at that, first of all, not all are voting. I saw it was less than 0.2%. So that's quite negligible. And me to you, I think this is a choice election. I don't think Robert F. Kennedy is going to impact it, but we'll just wait and see. It's only 24 hours old.
Zima, if you are still in the chat, can you check your Discord? Let's talk about Minecraft so I can stream that. Ladies and gentlemen, subscribe to the channel, like the live show. Let's get it. I think RFK endorsing Trump is a big deal. And I also think that he may have just been the factor that will help Trump win this election. I'm voting for Trump. I don't know who you're voting for, but the fact is, every poll that I've seen on Twitter, X, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, every single poll has Trump leading. The only time Kamala is leading is on the media news.
Okay. Right. But one more thing, because the significance is not just the potential impact, but look, the cover of the New York Post says a Kennedy endorses Donald Trump. A Kennedy endorses a Republican. It's a pretty big statement. And your initial point to me was, well, he's been all over the place. He wanted to reach out to Harris. But ultimately, Robert, he did go with Trump. Now, you can dismiss that as RFK's all over the place. But I think that we all deserve to give him the respect of him, the answer of why he did. And both he and Shanahan are saying, there is policy overlap, not total disagreement with Trump, but it's really about the process. They're saying your party has closed down its process to the voters and any competition. And for the last 12 years, this is according to Shanahan, has selected their candidates from a pool selected by elites and by donors. And they're not in on this. They want to actually participate in democracy. And their answer to that is Donald Trump.
Yeah. I don't know who Shanahan is. I think that if you asked 100 people, 99.9% wouldn't know who she is. So the idea that she's impacting the Democratic voter is a zero. I was
so
at the convention
dismissive.
on behalf of Fox the last 4 days, and it was electric. And you can see by the polls,
Yeah.
right now it's pretty much even. I mean, that's
I would just
today.
say, I got to go here. I would just say, look, and you and I are getting to know each other. I think that sounds very dismissive, and that's the charge. Democrats are dismissive of the voters. And to say you don't know who Nicole Shanahan is first of all, she's a big donor, has been to the Democratic Party, and she's
That's
a candidate.
right.
It sounds very dismissive as she's telling you the problem with your party.
I mean, she has one vote, and you're listening to her voice more than most people in the country.
All right. Well, you and I are talking about her voice right now to about, I don't know, 1.5 million, 2 million people in this country. But Robert, I appreciate the conversation. Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
Ladies and gentlemen, what do you guys think about the endorsement? Well, let's see if we can. Let's see if we can play Trump's speech last night. If they're going to let us play that speech now. Do we have the full speech? Where's Trump's speech? Kamala. What about Kamala's speech?
To jail for 1 year. Nobody's going to be burning the American flag anymore. Our opponents worship the deep state. We want to obliterate the deep state. Slight difference. Our opponents, thank you. Our opponents join with warmongers and neocons to wage endless wars, these wars that never end. We don't even know who the hell the country is that we're fighting. We believe that America is strongest when America is at peace. We want peace through strength. That's what we want. Like we had 4 years ago. We didn't have any wars, except we wiped out ISIS very quickly. It was supposed to take 5 years to beat ISIS. I did it in 3 weeks. They support coercive COVID vaccine mandates and want to fire you. If you don't obey, you get fired. We oppose these mandates as a fundamental violation of our God-given rights. We don't want the mandates. We don't want the mandates. They want to arrest their political opponents and silence those who disagree. We reject censorship in all forms, and we believe in freedom, open debate, and fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law. Our opponents slander us as a threat to democracy. Trump is a threat to democracy. No, they're a threat to democracy. How many times have you heard, it's a talking point for them, right, Deb? It's a talking point. Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. And those guys say it too, because they're the same thing. They're like a part. They're a subsidiary of the Democrat Party. Meanwhile, they rig their primaries. They force out Joe Biden. They force him out of the party. Joe Biden got 14 million votes in an unconstitutional coup, and they appoint a nominee who never got a single vote. And when she ran against this guy, and I'm no fan, he was the worst president in the history of our country. He let in millions and millions of people through her. Let in millions of people would destroy our country. But we're going to get those people out, the people that came in here from jails and prisons and mental institutions. But they threw them out. They ran against each other for the primary, and she never even made it to the first state, the great state of Iowa. Never made it. and now she's the one running. It's a little strange, isn't it? You see, that's really a threat to democracy if you get right down to it, right? In our movement, we know that democracy does not mean rule by the Democrat establishment. It means rule by the American people. Tonight, I'm very pleased to welcome a man who has been an incredible champion for so many of these values that we all share, and we've shared them for a long time. I don't think too many of you people have heard of him. He's very low-key. He's a very low-key person, but he's highly respected. He is a great person. I've known him for so long. For the past 16 months, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
I don't know. I just don't know whoever filmed this right here just didn't give us a better shot. But everything was just so amazing, man. And the song, There Goes My Hero, man.
I've known him for so long. For the past 16 months, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Man, whoa.
Yo, even Trump was like, whoa now. Whoa now. That was like a WWE type of intro. That was like a heavyweight boxing match intro, y'all.
Man, whoa. And he deserves it. He deserves it. For the past 16 months, Bobby has run an extraordinary campaign for President of the United States. I know, because he also went after me a couple of times. I didn't like it. And I mean this sincerely. Had he been allowed to enter the Democrat primary, he would have easily beaten Joe Biden, but they wouldn't let him in. They put up rules. I've never seen rules like you had to have 65% of the vote in order to run, little things like that. His candidacy has inspired millions and millions of Americans, raised critical issues that have been too long ignored in this country, and brought together people from across the political spectrum in a positive campaign grounded in the American values of his father, Robert Kennedy, a great man, and his uncle, President John F. Kennedy. And I know that they are looking down right now, and they are very, very proud of Bobby. I'm proud of Bobby. You want to know the truth? And I don't think I've ever introduced anyone that got applause like he just got. I must tell you, I don't think it's true. I don't think I've ever introduced anybody that got applause like that. Amazing. It's true. Amazing. Soon after I was, I can't even believe I have to say this, nearly assassinated in Pennsylvania last month, Bobby called me to express his best wishes. He knows firsthand the risks incurred by leaders who stand up to the corrupt political establishment. When you stand up, you bring on some trouble for yourself, but you have to do what's right. You have to do what's right for the country. I will tell you, we are both in this to do what's right for the country. That's one thing I can tell you. He lost his father and uncle in service to our country, and Bobby himself was subject to repeated threats to his safety during the course of his campaign while being denied protection by the Harris-Biden administration. And this is a tribute in honor of Bobby. I am announcing tonight that upon my election, I will establish a new independent presidential commission on assassination attempts. And they will be tasked with releasing all of the remaining documents pertaining to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. And they will also conduct a rigorous review of the attack last month. But I tell you, I have never had more people ask me, please, sir, release the documents on the Kennedy assassination. And we're going to do that. I also want to salute Bobby's decades of work as an advocate for the health of our families and our children. Nobody's done more. Millions and millions of Americans who want clean air, clean water, and a healthy nation have concerns about toxins in our environment and pesticides in our food. That's why today I'm repeating my pledge to establish a panel of top experts working with Bobby to investigate what is causing the decades-long increase in chronic health problems and childhood diseases, including autoimmune disorders, autism, obesity, infertility, and many more. We want every child in America to grow up and to live a long and healthy life. So I just want to ask Bobby to speak for a little while. I'll stand aside. I'm going to stand aside. But I can only tell you, I've known him a long time. We've been a little bit on the opposite side of the equation, but I will say this, he is a brilliant, I still think of him as young. He's not that young. I always call him young, but he's not that young. But he is a phenomenal person, a phenomenal man who loves the people of this country as much as anybody can love the people of this country. So, Bobby, please say a few words. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you. Now, a few hours after the assassination attempt at Butler, I got a call from a safe food advocate named Kelly Means, who's been fighting for many years to try to end the corruption at CDC and FDA and USDA. And these institutions, these regulatory agencies are actually run by the big food processing companies, the big ag and the chemical companies that they're supposed to regulate. And he said to me that he'd been advising me for many years and on my campaign. And he told me that night that he was also advising President Trump. And he asked if I would talk to President Trump. And I said, of course. And about a few minutes later, I got a call from the president. And we talked. We had a very good talk. And then he invited me to come.
Shout out to everybody watching the live show. God bless you for spending your time with me. This is RFK at rally with Trump, and they are in Arizona. The speech was yesterday. Subscribe to the channel, like the live show. I think I just saw EVE. I'm sorry, Easy E is like in my mind. EVE, God bless you. Christine Marshall, God bless you. Yes, let's go. Subscribe to the channel, like the live show. Let's get it.
Come see him the next day, and I went to Minneapolis and saw him. We met again a couple of weeks later in Florida, and we talked about not about the things that separate us because we don't agree on everything, but on the values and the issues that bind us together. And one of the issues that he talked about was having safe food and ending the chronic disease epidemic. Our children are now the unhealthiest, sickest children in the world. Don't you want healthy children? And don't you want the chemicals out of our food? And don't you want the regulatory agencies to be free from corporate corruption? And that's what President Trump told me that he wanted. He also told me that he wanted to end the grip of the neocons on U.S. foreign policy. He said he didn't want any more $200 billion wars in Ukraine, that we could use that money back here in the United States. And the safest, the best way to build a safe America is to rebuild our industrial base and rebuild the middle class in this country. And don't you want a president who's going to get us out of the wars and who's going to rebuild the middle class in this country? And he told me that he wanted to end the censorship because the whole basis of American democracy is the free flow of information. And we know that a government that can silence its opponents has license for any kind of atrocity. And can you think of any time that you can look back in history and say that the people who were censoring were the good guys? They're always the bad guys, because it's always the first step down that slippery slope to totalitarianism. And don't you want a president who's going to protect America's freedoms? And who is going to protect us against totalitarianism? And I want to ask you again, don't you want a safe environment for your children? Don't you want to know that the food that you're feeding them is not filled with chemicals that are going to give them cancer and chronic disease? And don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again? Thank you all very, very much, and God bless you, and God bless America.
Wow, that was something, huh? That was something. Fantastic guy. You know, he did well, and the polls are good and all, but you have to remember we have sort of like a two-party system. It was designed that way, and it's awfully tough. And as well as he did, he'd be at 10 and 15 and 16 points sometimes. That's a lot. That's a lot. But if he were in a regular system, like as a Democrat or perhaps as a Republican, but not against me, of course. But if he were in a regular system, there are a lot of people that maybe liked him the best, but they said, we can't vote. So with all of those votes he was getting, he has a lot of votes that he could have gotten. I think he's going to have a huge influence. We're leading now, but I think he's going to have a huge influence on this campaign. Actually, much bigger than you'd see in the polls. And those numbers are big to start off with, but Bobby and I will fight together to defeat the corrupt political establishment and return control of this country to the people. And all who supported Bobby's campaign, I very simply ask you join us in building this coalition. It's a beautiful coalition in defense of liberty and safety, prosperity and peace. It's going to be an incredible coalition, and the relationship has been so good for so long. I have no doubt it's going to work and work well. But we have to win. We have to take our country away from these people that are going to destroy our country. We won't have a country left. So thank you very much. We need your vote. As you all know, this week the Democrats held their convention. You probably saw it, their party. The media says the big message from their convention was that we need to turn the page from the failures of the last 4 years. Do you believe it? They forgot. They've run it for the last.
That's the thing. I truly hope. I think I just heard my daughter. I truly hope, Amanda, I truly hope Trump gives him a job, because, you know, Trump could say, you know what, we're going to work. And then, you know, if he wins, he may not actually give him a job. But especially if Trump doesn't believe that he is aligned with what they're trying to achieve. But I also think Trump is a man of his word. So I believe if he doesn't have like bad counseling, he would employ RFK Jr.
4 years. She was saying last night, we will stop the abuse. We will stop the high taxes. I said that you could have done it 3.5 years ago. In fact, you could leave that nice auditorium that you're in and go to the White House right now. You want to have a strong border? All you have to do is say to the incredible Border Patrol, ICE, law enforcement, close the border now. You don't need bills. I did it. And we had the best border in history. Put up that chart. Put it up. That chart. I love that chart. I love that chart. Put it up. But I love that chart. Not everybody realizes, but that chart is very meaningful. Even beyond the numbers that are on the chart, it shows the least numbers of illegal immigrants pouring into our country. Again, prisons from mental institutions, terrorists, where the bottom arrow is. But you know what? That chart is meaningful in many ways. Some people understand what I'm talking about. I love you, darling. I love you. I'm going to sleep with that chart tonight, Deb. I'm going to sleep with that chart. But isn't that a beautiful sight? Look at that. Look at that arrow. And then look what happens when that was my last week in office. And look what happens after I left. It's like a rocket ship. Look at that. Isn't that terrible? No vetting, no checking. We have no idea who they are. They just pour into our country by the millions and millions and millions. We need to turn the page of 4 years of calamity and failure. They have had calamity and failure, and say, Kamala, you've done a horrible job. You've been the worst vice president in the history of our country. Kamala, you're fired. You're fired. Get out. Get out. Get out, Kamala. She's the only person ever to get a nomination of a party without getting one vote. She didn't get one vote. Hey, maybe she's smarter than we think. You know, you could look at it that way. As vice president, Kamala cast the deciding votes, causing the worst inflation in decades, costing the typical American household $28,000. Think of this, higher prices. It was inflation, $28,000. As border czar, she flooded America with savage illegal alien criminals who have been raping, pillaging, and killing our cities and our towns. 3 years ago this week, she was the final vote on the catastrophic Afghanistan withdrawal. And we were withdrawing, but we were going to withdraw with dignity, with grace, and with strength. We would have been out faster, but we were going to keep Bagram. But that was the most embarrassing event in the history of our country, leading to horrific war and humiliation all over the world. When Putin saw that, he invaded Ukraine. It brought a lot of people back because they said the United States is run by incompetent people. The United States is no longer respected. It's no longer strong. That's what they said. A lot of these things that you're seeing now wouldn't have happened except for the horrible, horrible event of Afghanistan. You know, I was dealing with the leader of Afghanistan, Abdul, and I said, Abdul, you can't kill our people. He was killing our people. I had a strong talk with him. I'm not going to get into it exactly. We went 18 months without one soldier being sniped at or shot at. Not one soldier injured or killed. And then we had a tremendous election where we did probably 10 or 12 million more votes than we got the first time. You know, most presidents don't get as many votes the second time because people get bored, but they don't get bored with me. They get bored. No, they get bored. Like Barack Hussein Obama got far fewer votes the second time, and he won. He won. Have you heard of him, Barack Hussein Obama? Remember Rush Limbaugh? Barack Hussein Obama. He was nasty to me. You know, he was nasty. Michelle was nasty. They're all nasty. Nasty people. They were very...
Trump is on another level, guys. It's just on another level, yo.
And I was surprised. I thought he was... And I was sort of nice to him. I said, no, you know, I like him. Good. It didn't matter. They were nasty to me. And, of course, last night, Kamala mentioned my name, I think, 21 times. She didn't mention the border. She didn't mention inflation. She didn't mention anything but my name over and over and over again. She blamed me for the border. I haven't been there in 4 years. You saw it. I had the safest border, the best border we've ever had. She blamed me for the border. They lied so much. They lied about everything. She said I was involved with something called Project 25. I don't even know what the hell it is. No, they really were nasty. And then they say to me, sir, please stick to policy. Don't stick to personality. You should be nice to people, sir. You have to be nice. I call them up. My geniuses, they get paid a fortune. Actually, not that much. But I call up my people. I say, they're knocking the hell out of me. And you say I shouldn't get personal. I have to get personal.
They're knocking the hell out of me. You say I shouldn't get personal. I have to get personal. He was nasty. And they were nasty. All of them were nasty.
Personal, don't I? I have to get personal. I have to get personal. They get personal. But I'm going to do my best. So they're allowed to get personal with me, but I'm not allowed to get personal to them. They call me names that are so bad. Our great First Lady says, but you're not that way, darling. They love our great First Lady, I will tell you that. They do. They do. But darling, you're not that way. I said, I know that. And if I say something just slightly out of order, like, she didn't do a very good job last night, please never, ever mention look or anything like that. If you ever say, she didn't look really great, that's the end of your political career, so I wouldn't say a thing like that. How about her opening where she said, thank you, 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 thank you. I said, what?
Oh my God, man. Everybody misses this man, bro. Like,
What the hell is wrong with her, Deb? Debbie Lesko, she's a winner. Is that Sheriff Joe? Oh. That's Sheriff Joe. Look at that. A legend. You know, Sheriff Joe's looking at these clowns where they have no idea what they're doing, where people come in by the millions. He had nobody come in. Remember, he dressed everybody in pink. Remember that, right? Is that right, Joe? They had to dress in pink. I mean, it wasn't the worst thing. It wasn't bad. I mean, you know, you got a lot of killers that had a dress. But pink underwear, pink undershirt, and a pink outfit. Because he didn't want them coming into our country. Do you remember Arizona when Sheriff Joe was at the border? You didn't have people coming in. I think for the 1 year, he had one person come in, but they got him. Now we have 3 million people coming in through your border. Oh, through the whole thing, it's ridiculous. It's not. Joe, it's an honor. And I'll tell you, people didn't treat you right. You are a legend, and you did a job like nobody else. True. Great going, Joe. And we love your wife. He lost his wife a few years ago, and she was a hell of a woman, right, Joe? But she's looking down at you, and she's proud of you. She's saying, you did very well with this group of people. But I've known you for a long time. There was nobody like him. He understood the border better than anybody, and he ran it fairly. He ran very fair, but he ran it strong, and they respected him. They didn't even try. So thank you very much, Joe. Your wife she's proud of you. She's proud of you. Very proud of you. We're grateful to be joined tonight by the founder of Turning Point Action, a gentleman named Charlie Kirk. Thank you, Charlie. What a job he does. I said, Charlie, do me a favor. We got this thing won, but do me a favor, make sure they don't cheat. The only way they can do anything is if they cheat like hell, and we've been victims of that. Make sure they don't cheat, Charlie. We don't need the votes. We just want to make sure that they don't cheat. Hello, Sheriff. How are we doing? How are you guys doing? Good. Thank you. We need every sheriff to get over there, every law enforcement official, because we got the votes. We got to make sure everything's on the up and up. Charlie and his team of people, I mean, he's got hundreds of thousands of young people. It's actually quite discriminatory. Charlie, have you ever been sued by old people for not accepting them? He's got the youngest looking group of people and they're warriors. They're unbelievable. The job Charlie has done is incredible. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Charlie. The job he's done is really incredible. Also with us is an incredible congresswoman who has decided to go onto a certain board. Do you know what I'm talking about? The most important board maybe in the whole country. And she's going to make sure everything's on the up and up. Debbie Lesko. Debbie, thank you, Congresswoman. Thank you, Debbie. You make sure, Debbie. She just won a big election by a massive, well, you won that election easy, didn't you? She won it pretty easy. Another person who's a friend of mine, he's a warrior for a long time. He's great. He loves his state, loves our country. Andy Biggs, Congressman Andy Biggs. Thank you, Andy. Thank you. And two other warriors, a young one and a little bit older one, but boy, they are tough. You don't get tougher than Eli Crane and Paul Gosar. Paul Gosar. Great. Thank you, Eli. Great. Great. Beautiful. Great people. And the next congressman from Arizona's 8th District, Abe Hamadeh. Wow. He's going to be good for a long time. He's a young gentleman. Great, Abe. Great job. Great job. Great heart. He went through a tough one. Arizona GOP chairwoman, she is doing a job. Gina Swoboda. Gina. She is doing a job.
Shout out to Carly. Carly in the building. God bless you, Carly. Happy that you are here. Who else? Man, it's good to have Carly in the building. What else? What else? Amanda Levy, you know what time it is. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Like the live show. You know what time it is. It is Trump rally in Arizona. RFK gave an endorsement speech to Trump, and this speech happened yesterday in Arizona. This, in my opinion, is the Midas touch. This is like the cherry on the ice cream that would definitely win Trump the election, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know, but I'm voting for Trump though.
And a very good friend of mine, the next senator from Arizona. I really believe this. Look, she's running against, we don't have to do a big, I was going to bring her up. I was going to say, come on, Carrie, speak. But she just spoke for a half an hour. What the hell am I going to do here? But I will tell you, she's running against a guy who's a rubber stamp for, it used to be Biden. Now, who the hell knows? I don't even know. Do we know who it is? Who would, a rubber stamp for somebody? But Ruben Gallejo is horrible. He's an open borders maniac. He's a defund the police maniac. He shouldn't be allowed to even run in this election against her, because Carrie Lake is incredible. She's incredible. She's tough. She's smart. She's got heart. And she should be your next senator. I hope you win this sucker, because you are winning. You're running against a guy that cannot carry your shoes. I'm being nice. You know the expression, can't carry her shoes. And you're going to have a big victory, and we're going to work together, and we're going to make sure we win this state. I say this presidentially, if we win this state, which we're expected to, we're leading and all of that, we win the presidency, and we have to take Carrie Lake with us. Go get him. Go get him, Carrie. Go get him, Carrie. Very important. And honestly, and forget, we all know Carrie. She's been a newscaster for 22 years. Everybody knows her. She's just she's never had a problem. She's solid as a rock. This guy is a freaking loser. He's a loser. So with that, we'll go on. But good luck, Carrie. We love you. Special. Since Democrats didn't talk about Kamala's horrendous record last night, we will. For nearly 4 years, Comrade Kamala Harris. I use that term, I don't know if it's good. Is it good or not, tell me? Let's do a poll. Let's do a poll. I love these free polls. Instead of spending $250,000 to a pollster that doesn't even poll, you know what they do? They take your money, they say, let's see, all right, 49 to 50. Well, no, it's one of the greatest businesses in history. I get a free poll here. Do you like the name? She's a radical left lunatic, okay? She's a defunder of the police. She wants to defund all the things that we talk about. Do I call her Comrade Kamala Harris or do I not? Ready? Ready? What do I do there? You tell me. You could tell me better than anybody. Okay, ready? I'll say yes or no. Yes. No. Comrade Kamala Harris. Has overseen a nation-wrecking border invasion. This is a nation-wrecking.
Memphis, I feel like this isn't if it's fair. Well, this is the thing. What you're saying they will steal it from him and you will do nothing. I feel like this time everybody is going to be there. You cannot bring any big bag of votes and say this is the vote. Somebody has been voting for months. Like nobody would allow that type of stuff to happen this time. If it happened in 2020, okay, fine. But this time, I don't know anything about the, voting, counting and all that stuff. But one thing is for sure, if people start, now there's social media, bro. I mean, there was social media in 2020, but now, bro, people are going to be streaming this live, bro. We're going to be streaming the live ballot. Everybody's going to be streaming live, bro. So there's no way you're going to bring anything new to the, the station where the election is being taken place, where people are voting. Everybody's going to be there now because everybody saw what happened in 2020. I'm not saying the election in 2020 was stolen, but I'm saying like now everybody is going to be hands-on this time. 2024, the Republicans definitely going to be hands-on, even independent, even the Democrat. Everybody's going to be hands-on because nobody wants to lose because, if you lose, the stake is so high this time. It's so high.
It's an invasion. One of the ways I built hundreds of miles of wall. I was there yesterday. I looked up and down. I said, man, I built a lot of wall. And we could have put up 200 miles more, but they didn't want to do it. And that's when I said, I think they really want open borders. But we built much more wall than I said I was going to build. And you couldn't see the end of it yesterday. You couldn't see the end. We had a news conference, but it's a dangerous area. It's a dangerous area because of her, because of him. But he put her in charge, whether she's borders are. And that's what she was called. Only recently did she say she doesn't have that. But you know what? She has been the worst manager. And the Border Patrol never even saw her. They never even met her. She's in charge of it. They never even met her. And you suffered the...
Al, that's what I'm saying, Al. That's what I'm saying, Al. Everywhere I go, people are like, yo, I used to be a Democrat. Everywhere I go, I used to be a Democrat. I used to be a Democrat. I voted for Hillary. I voted for Biden. I used to be a Democrat. That's what I've been hearing. But now, I feel like Trump just opened everybody's eyes after he did his first term, 4 years. And then Biden came do his own 4 years. And people are like, if you compare and contrast, it's not the same. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Now people have seen what Trump is capable of, and people have seen the life they lived after Trump left office. So now it's like, goddamn, there ain't no way.
Price. She's allowed at least 20 million illegal aliens into our country, including millions and millions of unvetted fighting age men from 159 countries. You know, it's no longer just South America. They come from Africa, the Congo. They come from a lot of coming from jails in the Congo. Let me tell you, these people, the nice thing, they make our criminals look like the nicest people on earth. That's how tough they are. They come from the Middle East. They come from areas that we're fighting. They come from enemy terrain. They come from all over the world, and they do come from South America, but not only from South America. 159 different countries in the last year, and they're totally unchecked and unvetted. Every single year she's been in office, she has set an all-time high illegal border crossings record, triple and quadruple what the year before, where I'd have like 150,000 and she'd have 2.5 million. What she has done to this country, nobody can tell you.
Chicken strangler. What are you talking about? That's why you're strangling chickens everywhere, bro. That's why you're definitely strangling chickens. What are you talking about? Trump didn't have the balls to pull out of Afghanistan under his presidency, so he did it under Biden's. How can you do it under Biden when you're not the president?
Destroyed San Francisco as the district attorney. She destroyed California. You know that. This is a woman that's going to take, she destroyed California. She had a policy, if you steal less than $950, you're allowed to keep it. You could go, we're not going to prosecute. So criminals are walking into stores, mean, nasty guys, rough guys, and they take calculators and they calculate. Let's say I want to get up. They walk out, then they walk back in. The whole thing, this is who we're going to have running our country? I don't think so. And nobody lies like her. She's a liar. She makes up crap. She's the one going to raise. You know, she said, Donald Trump is going to raise. You know why? She said I was going to raise it. Because I'm going to put tariffs on other countries coming into our country. And that has nothing to do with taxes to us. That's a tax on another country. And I did it with China, and we had no inflation. You know, I had no inflation. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China, and not one other president took in 10 cents. They were all, oh, China, we're afraid of China. We're afraid of China. According to a new DHS report, Kamala Harris also lost, and this is impossible to believe. Listen to this, 325,000 migrant children are gone. They're missing. She allowed them to be trafficked into our country. Many of these children are now in sex slavery or they're dead, probably mostly dead. They will never see their homes or their parents again. They were swiped out of their homes. They were taken out of their homes. 300, this is a government number, 325,000 children, sex slaves or they're dead. Many are dead. Hamas has so little respect for Kamala and Joe Biden, crooked Joe Biden, that the hostages that they're talking about all the time, I believe they're largely gone. I believe they're largely gone. So sad. When you look at what happened, when you look at that attack on October 7th, I believe they're gone. And the reason they're not negotiating, you know, it says Hamas has decided not to negotiate because what they want back are the hostages. And I think those hostages, for the most part, aren't around anymore. And so they said, oh boy, we can't really negotiate because we don't have the hostages. The hostages are largely gone. How sad, how terribly sad. If they feared and respected Joe Biden and Kamala, they would never have killed those hostages. They would have never attacked. They would never have attacked when I was president. Iran was broke. Iran was broke.
I told China, if you spend any money on buying oil from Iran, you'll never do business in the United States again. And we're
How can you hate someone who is trying to protect you, someone who is trying to make sure there's peace around the world, someone who is trying to reduce inflation? How can you hate a person like that? I'm just dumbfounded by people's understanding these days. There was no soldier, or there were no soldier killed for 18 months. He was pulling out of Afghanistan. He told them, if you touch any soldier, you finna know what time it is. And they didn't try it because everybody knows Trump is a touchy when it comes to this up here. And that's what makes him a good leader. A good leader should not be a person you can predict what he's going to do. You shouldn't be able to predict what a leader would do. You should be scared and fearful. That in turn makes you respect his instinct. Like, yo, you better don't do some BS because you know that guy. I don't want to smoke with Trump. Nobody wanted smoke with Trump, people. Nobody wanted smoke with Trump because, I mean, think about it. Trump went to the NATO meetings. He went to the United Nations. He was calling out countries. Yo, Germany, you need to pay up. Yo, China, what's up? You got to pay up. What? Nobody has ever done that type of stuff before. And you know why he could do those type of things? Because he was brought up in a family where they had money. When you come up in a family where if you were brought up with money, you have self-confidence. You can speak your mind. I'm not saying if you were brought up without money, then you have low self-esteem. But like if you check it, people with low self-esteem, their parent didn't really let them do what they want to do. Like, if you were brought up poor, bro, like there's so many things that you would lack, bro. I was brought up in a middle class family, but there were things that we weren't allowed to do because we couldn't afford it. So of course when you grow up, you have that low self-esteem in doing some shit. You have to actually grow out of it. You have to like train yourself, unlearn some of the things that you were taught when you were growing up. So I had to like unlearn some things before I became the type of man that I am now. Normally the former me, the old me, would never support a man like Trump because in my mind he's rich. Of course he's the problem. But I had to unlearn those education that I was taught by my family. Like, yo, rich people are bad people. Well, most rich people are bad people. Well, if they're rich, that means they're taking money from the broke people. No. I had to unlearn those type of things. So, I mean, someone like this, he gets shot and he jumps up and he says, fight, fight, fight. God damn.
We're going to put a 200% tariff on Iran. And Iran was broke, and they had no money for Hamas, and they had no money for Hezbollah. You can check your numbers. Look at it. When my last year, they had no money. We had no terrorism. For 4 years, I didn't have any terrorism. Do you notice that? None. And when they asked Viktor Orban, the prime minister of Hungary, very strong guy, what is the reason that things are so bad now? The Middle East is blowing up. Russia's blowing up with Ukraine. There's wars starting all over the place. Looks like bad things could happen in Taiwan with China. What's the reason? He says, you got to get Donald Trump back as president. You won't have any problems. That's what he said. It's true. It's true. They respected your country. They respected your leader, but they respected our country. Now they laugh at our country. Our country has become a joke. She's provided deportation immunity to the vast majority of criminal.
People are saying, how much am I getting paid to promote this? Zero. Absolute zero. I'm not even getting paid by YouTube. That's how crazy it is. YouTube isn't going to monetize my channel because they said my content is hurting the people. Like I'm hurting you guys. That's what YouTube told me. So I'm not even getting paid by YouTube. I'm not getting paid by nobody. I'm just showing y'all the facts. Okay, I'm showing y'all the facts. That's why I put my Cash App here. Like, if you guys want to support the channel, fine. But look, I don't care about what you think. Okay, this is the thing. You think I care about what you feel? Whatever you want to say, go somewhere else and say it. If you want to say it here, fine. If you want to go somewhere else, fine. If you don't like what I'm saying, swipe. Like, easy. But you want to be here and talking and be like, come on, man.
Aliens living inside the United States and is importing MS-13 gang members, known as the most violent gang of them all, into our cities and into our high school. Think of it, they're coming into our high schools. Kamala has set loose thousands of Venezuelan gang members who, according to law enforcement bulletins, have been given a license to shoot American police officers. You know that, right? Under Harris, ICE deportations are at the lowest level in history, the history of our country. She supports deadly sanctuary cities. Now, of course, she's flip-flopping on everything. You do know that, right? You know that, Joe? She's flip-flopping on everything. Debbie, right? She's a flip-flopper. Andy, she's a flip-flopper. She flip-flops on everything.
Jay says Genesis. Genesis, that's how you spell it. Genesis. I don't know. It says, congratulations on putting yourself first and political parties second. What does that mean? I feel like you should put the people first. The people first, and whatever you support. Like, if you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, it should be the people first, then your party. The people first, then whatever party you support.
Because she was polled, she said she didn't do too well. That's probably why she was the first out of 22 people. I can't get over it. She was the first failure. And now she's running. Oh, we're going to beat her. I look forward to the debate, too. I do look forward to the debate. Look forward to it. She called for abolishing ICE. These are great patriots who are tough as hell. You need tough people. She's compared ICE agents to the KKK. She wants to repeal the federal law that makes illegal immigration a crime, making illegal immigration totally legal. It's okay to come into our country. She wants to release all of the thousands of criminal illegal aliens that are locked up in detention centers, and these are the toughest of them all. She wants to release them into our country. We have detention centers for the toughest of them all. She says, we're going to release them. Now, maybe they'll ask her tonight, oh, no, I would never do that. She might change. She's changing and everything. But don't forget, if the election ever went haywire, if they can find a way to cheat enough and she wins, in quote, she wins, she's going to do everything that you wouldn't dream of, including no fracking. She didn't discuss fracking last night. No fracking in Pennsylvania. I can't imagine she can do well in Pennsylvania.
Yo. Shout out to everybody watching the live stream. God bless you. Subscribe to the channel. Kevin says, oh, Victorious One is back after a 24 hours lockdown. Kevin says, go Biden-Harris administration. Wait. Thanks for the great economy.
Pennsylvania, 500,000 jobs are involved with fracking, and a huge amount of their budget, everything's involved with fracking, and she's against it. In her speech last night, she lied about almost everything. She lied when she said, I was going to raise taxes. No, I'm lowering taxes. She's the one. She lied and said that, oh, this is the best. I'm going to be the one. And I was already there. I didn't touch your Social Security. And a lot of Democrats wanted me to. She lied when she said that I want to cut Social Security and Medicare. No, she wants to cut it because she wants to have the illegal immigrants coming into our country to go on Social Security and Medicare, which will destroy Social Security and Medicare. It's Kamala Harris who cast a tie-breaking vote to cut Medicare by $266 billion. She cut your Medicare. Remember this, by $266 billion, and then promised mass amnesty last night to 20 million illegal aliens and make them American citizens, which will absolutely obliterate your Social Security and your Medicare, ultimately leaving those programs bankrupt and our seniors desperate and poor. And remember, when you talk about all of those hundreds of billions of dollars, you know what she's putting that money into? The Green New Scam. She took it out of your Medicare. She's putting it into one of the greatest ever, one of the great voices of sport. Stand up. Let's see if anybody knows who the hell you are. Good job. You're a good man. He's done a good job. But she took it out and she wants to put it in. She put it into the Green New Scam. She said the border was safe under her direction. You know, they're the party of disinformation and misinformation. They'll say something 100 times. The border was safe. Did you see last night? The border's safe. The first time she said that was about 2 months ago, and she went like this. The border was safe. She started choking.
Kevin say, remember we had a... Goddamn. How, if we had 2020 happen to us, right? Why was food cheap during 2020, 2021? Then after food were cheap, even in the fire. Then when the fire is down, food came up. Goddamn.
Horrible. They are the misinformation, disinformation. They lie. They keep saying the same untruth over and over again. And you know, you're not like in my business. You're not in this political business like these people. You're in other things. You're lawyers and you're carpenters and you're electricians and you're drivers and you're doing a lot of things. By the way, no tax on tips. Remember that? No tax on tips. No tax on tips. She tried that one, and yet in Congress right now they have bills to destroy people that don't. Do you see what's going on? It'll never happen with her. It's guaranteed to happen with me. No tax on tips. But actually, it's the most dangerous and unsafe border anywhere in the world. There's never been a border like it. No country ever. If a country had a border like that, they would fight with sticks and stones if they had to keep the people out. She believes that if you say things enough over and over again, even if they're stone cold lies, like Project 25, he believes in, I don't even know what the hell it is. I know it's a group of people that got together and they're slightly on the conservative side. And it's unbelievable what they do. It's really unbelievable.
Now, you guys are listening to him talk about the P25, right? The P25, he just spoke about it. He's lying. He's lying. But when Kamala lies, she's the best in the world.
She would destroy our country. If she was ever elected, our country will go down the tubes. We'll be in a depression like 1929. We will not have a country any longer. Yesterday, I was at the border with the victims of...
Shout out to everybody watching the live show. You know what time it is. W, Carly, everybody, Christy. Shout out to everybody. Amanda Levy, you know what time it is. God bless y'all. Let's keep watching.
Kamala's migrant crime wave. One of them is here with us tonight. Michael Moran is the brother of Rachel Moran, who you know about. Rachel was a cherished 37-year-old mom of 5 absolutely incredible children, beautiful woman. Last summer, Rachel was out on a run when she was brutally raped and murdered by an illegal alien who was led into America by Kamala Harris. Let her in. Said, let her in. The animal who committed this heinous crime first killed another woman in El Salvador before walking across the open border. Just walked right in, no problem. He then attacked a 9-year-old.
Kevin, yo. Oh my God, Kevin. Come on, brother. Come on. Harris 2024 to continue moving forward after the pandemic.
year-old girl and her mother in a home invasion in Los Angeles before murdering Rachel in cold blood. Michael, I promise you, in Rachel's memory, we will stop this invasion and we will keep these savage criminals the hell out of our country. Thank you, Michael. Please. Thank you. So sorry, Michael. So sorry. Say hello to your parents and everybody, okay? Thank you. So horrible. We are so sorry, Michael. Thank you for being here. According to her own administration statistics on crime victims, Kamala Harris has presided over a 43% increase in violent crime. These are government numbers, by the way, including 58% increase in rape, 89% increase in aggravated assault, and 56% increase in robbery. During the riots of 2020, she encouraged her followers to donate to bail criminals, looters, and arsonists and killers.
Exactly. Kevin Smith just told us why he doesn't like Trump. Because he says Harris started at the bottom. This is it. I'm telling you, this is why people don't like Trump, because he was born rich. Like it was his fault that he was born into a wealthy family. This is what is going on in this world, people. And I could bet you Kevin is definitely broke. That's for sure. Because broke people don't like rich people. Because they feel rich people are their problems. I'm not rich, but I know one day I'm gonna be rich. That's for sure. But I'm not gonna hate. I'm no rich man now.
People died, including Sean Michael Tillman, a dangerous repeat offender who went on to shoot and kill a Minnesota man 6 times in the head. He shot him 6 times in the head and torso. And Kamala let him out, let him go, while Kamala Harris was DA of Sanctuary City, San Francisco.
Yes, Victorious, I am a capitalist. Hell yeah. What you think that is? Of course I am a capitalist.
20 years ago, maybe the greatest city in the world. Today it's unlivable. She ignored the pleas of victims' family. Please, please let us do. Please don't do.
Yeah, Kevin, that's all cap, bro. All cap. If you have all of this stuff, look, this is the thing. If you have a paid off house and you have a clinic and you have 2 commercial properties, you wouldn't be on YouTube scrolling shit, bro.
Do this to us and refuse to seek the death penalty against an illegal alien MS-13 gang member, one of the worst murderers they've seen in years, who murdered an innocent man and his 2 sons and didn't even remember he did it. As California Attorney General, she redefined child sex trafficking, assault with a deadly weapon, and rape of an unconscious person as a non-violent crime. Comrade Kamala Harris destroyed single-handedly, with some help from the worst governor in our nation, Gavin Newsom, both San Francisco and California itself. He's a terrible governor. What a governor. For years, but you know, she might have picked a worse one. If you look at the numbers in Minnesota, we hope we're going to win Minnesota. You know, it hasn't been won since 1972, Richard Nixon. But we're doing well there too, but the governor is horrible. You know what he did? He approved a bill to give tampons in every young man's bathroom. Right? Think of that. This is what we have. This is our vice president, our potential president. Tampons in boys' bathrooms. For years, Kamala Harris has pushed legislation to strip police officers of protection, trying to bankrupt them and ruin their lives for doing their jobs. No protection, no immunity, no nothing. She even endorsed defund the police. I will never defund the police. I will only fund the police and fund them with plenty of money and pride. I will always back our law enforcement heroes in blue. We are pleased to be joined tonight by the president of the Arizona Police Association, Justin Harris. Oh, no, he's not a relation. Justin, are you a relation? Last name is Harris, spelled the same. I'm very concerned about this. I'm not really. But Justin Harris is a great gentleman who has a special announcement. Justin, would you please come up? Thank you. I'm not worried about it. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm a little concerned about that illegal immigration chart you put up there. Was that a spike in immigration or the inflation?
Sort of both.
Kind of both, right? Wonderful job those Democrats are doing. My name is Justin Harris. I'm a veteran police sergeant here in Arizona with 25 years of experience in service. And I also have the privilege and the honor to serve as the state president of the Arizona Police Officers Association.
F the woke. He doesn't have a bro. Come on, you know Kevin don't have no goddamn company. Why are you giving him time, bro? You know he don't have company. He doesn't have a company, bro. You have a company, you know what I mean? Man, he doesn't have no goddamn company. We know, everybody knows he don't have company.
Thank you very much. Wow, that's a great endorsement. Means a lot. So just in closing, I want to say that from the moment we take back the White House from Kamala Harris and Crooked Joe.
Emmanuel N is here saying, yeah, Kevin has a company. Everybody know Emmanuel too is broke. Everybody know Emmanuel is broke too. Because broke people don't like rich people. Broke people don't like rich people, bro. And I don't even have money, bro. But I'm not going to hate on a successful person because I want to be successful and I'm working towards being successful. I will not. I repeat, I will never hate a successful man. Hell no.
Biden crooked as a...
Or hate a successful woman. I would never. I can never hate a successful woman. I can never hate a successful man. Hell no.
$4 bills used to say $3 bills.
And that's why I always say that I respect Kamala. I think she's brave to get to where she's gotten to in her life. That's commendable. But do I think she's capable of being the president of the United States? I don't know. Does that mean I don't respect her? Absolutely not. I do actually respect her. She's gotten to where she's like, it takes guts, it takes bravery to get to where she's at right now. But do I think she can lead the country? No. Okay. So I respect her success, but I don't think she's capable of standing in front of President Xi, in front of Kim Jong-un, in front of Putin, and making the hard decisions. I don't think she's capable of that, doing that.
That we say $4 bill. I believe we're going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. Starting on day 1, I will seal the border and stop the migrant invasion of our country. We will carry out the largest deportation operation in American history, larger even than President Dwight D. Eisenhower in the 1950s, who was a big believer in borders. We will defeat inflation and we will make America affordable again. You're going to have an affordable country again. We will make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far. It won't even be close. Remember, as I always say, we have more liquid gold under our feet than any other country in the world, including Saudi Arabia, including Russia, and we will use it to reduce taxes and energy costs for our people. We will reduce your energy bills in 1 year by more than 50%. That's here and that's everywhere in the country. And that includes heating, air conditioning, electricity, and gasoline for your car. I will turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower more than it has ever been, ever before.
We will bring back jobs to America. We will no longer allow foreign countries to take our jobs and to steal our wealth. We will make our own products, and we will buy far less from foreign countries than we are buying right now. We're going to make it here. Other countries that make us pay a tax to do business with them will be charged the same tax when they send their product into the United States. It'll be called the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act. And if China or any other country charges us a 100% tax or tariff, then we will charge them a reciprocal tariff of 100 or 200%.
What did I tell you, everybody? I told you Kevin and Emmanuel broke. Only broke people talk about taxes. He never showed us his taxes. I could bet you wealthy people, even rich people, don't talk about show me your taxes, because you can always offset assets on your taxes. Therefore, you pay less taxes. But you don't know these things because all you care about is, oh, he didn't show his taxes. You are not in the same tax bracket, bro. You are not. Work your way to the top. Stop complaining. Goddamn.
In the words of a great president, William McKinley, the protective tariff policy of the Republicans has made the lives of our countrymen sweeter, brighter, 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 and it's the best our citizenship and our civilization can ever have. Better.
Also, Trump is one of the only president that never took his salary. He donated his salary, yet he's broke. A person donates their salary as president and you say they're broke. This is first of all, he's the wealthiest president the United States has ever had. You could Google that, you could go do your research. Trump is the wealthiest president the United States has ever had. This is one of the only president that got his money outside of politics. Joe Biden, go check. All his money, he started in the Senate when he was 29 years old. So basically, Joe Biden made all of his money in politics. Kamala, she's made all of her money in politics. All of these people that you guys are crying for right now and saying they're not, that this man is the corrupt one. Y'all are saying he's the corrupt one, right? And is the only person that has made his money outside of politics. He's in debt. He's a businessman. All businessmen are in debt. Apple is a what? Apple is like the biggest company ever. Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, every one of these companies have debt. This is how I know I shouldn't be talking to people like you, Emmanuel, because you don't even know nothing. Apple has debt, even though they have the biggest cash reserves, but they have debt. Because debt helps you because you don't pay interest on debt. God damn.
Better destiny for our people. We ought to take care of our own nation, and we have to take care of our industries first. We have to take care of our country first. It's about time, and it's going.
Emmanuel, Elon is in debt. What is wrong with you? Because he's the richest man alive, you think he's not in debt? Goddamn. Who the hell am I talking to on this goddamn chat? Goddamn.
To happen starting on January 20th of next year. I will not let Mexico, China, or any other country sell cars into the United States to the detriment of our auto workers all over our country, including in Michigan and South Carolina. United Auto Workers, you're going to vote for Trump because I'm going to bring you back more auto production than you've ever seen.
Apple, no company in the United States doesn't have debt. Apple has debt. Microsoft has debt. Elon, SpaceX, the Boring Company has, because he owns those companies. Elon owns those companies. SpaceX, the Boring Company, X, Tesla, every one of them has debt. Because if you have $2 billion in your cash reserves, for example, if you take this money out and you buy stuff and you get profit from it, you have to pay taxes. But if you take a loan against your $2 billion in cash reserves, it's a different story when it comes to taxes. But you don't know those things because you don't know nothing about taxes. And you've never ever filed for an LLC, Emmanuel. You could tell you don't have an LLC. That's for sure. You ain't know nothing about LLCs, bro. You don't know. You ain't gonna count it, you know.
Into this country before. I will end the ridiculous electric vehicle mandate.
Kevin, bankruptcies is a way to shield yourself as a business owner. Ding, 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 ding. You don't know that too, did you? Children.
Cut every job-killing regulation of the Harris-Biden administration and make our auto manufacturing business bigger, better, and stronger than it has ever been before. And if you relied on Kamala, there would be no auto industry. Within 3 years, you'll never make another car. When I am back in the White House, we will pass large tax cuts for our workers, and there will be, as I said, no tax on tips. And that means if you're a restaurant worker, a bartender, hospitality worker, caddy, barber, mover, driver, or anyone else who relies on tip income.
Timothy, it's like saying, is debt a good thing? Timothy, you asking me is bankruptcy a good thing is the same thing as asking me is debt a good thing. It depends on what you're using it for. Bankruptcy is a tool, same as debt. Debt is a tool. You use debt for yourself, for your company, to expand. Bankruptcy, you could use that to shield yourself. Nothing is bad when it comes to business. It's just because you don't really know. It's bankruptcy. You know, when you're young, you don't know nothing. They tell you, oh, he filed for bankruptcy. What? He filed for bankruptcy? Oh, he's poor. No, actually, he shielded himself from loss.
Your tips will be 100% yours to keep. You will no longer be harassed by your government. And I will fight for and protect your Social Security and your Medicare with no cuts and no changes in age. We're not going to move it up. They want to move it up 5 years. We're not doing it. Darling, when do we get our Social Security? Well, they just moved it up 5 years. You're not going to happen with me. It's going to happen with them. They're going to destroy your Social Security. And we will have no tax on Social Security benefits for seniors. They destroyed our seniors and everyone else with their horrible inflation. And then they give you small dollars with Social Security and they want you to pay tax. I don't know. We don't need it. We can do it. We have so much else, including that liquid gold. Oh, we're going to go hunting for liquid gold. We will cut wasteful and unnecessary spending, and we will terminate the.
Okay, for you people that don't know about bankruptcy and saying bankruptcy is so bad, I don't mean to stop the video, guys. I'm sorry, but I just want to show people what's up. So here you go. Why is filing for bankruptcy beneficial? This is for the people at the back who don't know nothing about business. Okay, here we go. Read this. I want y'all to read this right here, because y'all be acting like you know what you're saying. It says, why is filing for bankruptcy beneficial? It says prevent repossessions, foreclosure, and utility shutoffs. So when you file for bankruptcy under Chapter 7 or Chapter 13, the bankruptcy court will issue an automatic stay that puts a stop to any and all collection efforts. This includes mortgage foreclosure, so you can get your house repossessed, auto repossession, and other property repossessions. This is what people don't know. Oh, you filed for bankruptcy. He's protecting himself, people. Be smart. Just be smart, people.
Green New Scam and spend that money on roads, bridges, real infrastructure, and paying down debt
no fake infrastructure that has caused massive inflation with no benefit whatsoever to our population. I will settle the war in Ukraine, and I will end the...
Now, Kevin says his daughter is a bankruptcy lawyer. He owns a clinic, 2 corporations, and now his daughter is a bankruptcy lawyer. You should never file for bankruptcy, people. Never. Maybe when you have multiple corporations, maybe one could go under bankruptcy. Doesn't, I'm just saying.
Chaos in the Middle East, and we will restore peace through strike, and it will happen quickly. I will have that war ended before I go to the White House on January 20th. I will have the war in Ukraine ended as president-elect. And we will end the weaponization of government against the American people, including myself, by the way. They've weaponized the government against the political opponent. Can you imagine? But you just saw we won the big case down in Florida. Everyone said, oh, they weaponized it. They got their Justice Department to go after their political opponent, but they're not doing well. I'm the only one that ever happened to where my numbers went up. What do you think about that, Mr. Congressman? I don't think it's ever happened. They go after me and my numbers go up. Somebody's got to explain this. We will rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful once again. And we will keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency, because right now it is under siege. And this is how we will end the era.
Timothy now says bankruptcy is a second chance, a second wind, not a good thing. I just showed you, bro. It is to shield yourself. It's the same thing with debt. Debt can be debt. When you have credit card debt, personal debt is a bad thing. Like you have school loans. Those, for me, I think is a bad debt, because especially if you in this economy where if you're not in college for like science, essential workers like being a doctor, you're learning how to tech. If you're not in college for those things, I don't think you should be taking out school loans or getting loans for schools, because now you could go learn things in like short-term schools, like community schools. You could go learn handworks like plumbing, HVAC, and stuff like that, and make a lot of money, or drive trucks and make a lot of money, or even be on the internet and make a lot of money. So like you shouldn't go take school loans, because school loans for me is bad debt at this point. Like I said, if you are not in technology, if you're not in the science world, there's no point going to school, going to college, bro. Because if you go to college, you have all that debt and you can't pay back because you end up working at McDonald's or you end up working at goddamn Target. So that's, for me, it's like a no-no, okay? That could be a bad debt. But then again, it could still be a good debt, okay? So there's bad debt, good debt. For me, credit card debt is bad debt. Now, it depends on what you're using your credit card for. And also, there is something called business credit and there's personal credit. So if you have business credit and you have business debt, business loans, that doesn't come up on your personal, except you like personal guarantee it. So it's so many things you could be talking about when it comes to debt. Debt could be a bad thing. It could be a good thing. Same thing with bankruptcy. So we could talk back and forth about all of this stuff, okay? But the fact is, you have to educate yourself. And that's what I've committed myself to do, or to be doing, since I got to the United States. I had to learn about taxes, insurance, business credit, personal credit. I had to learn about mortgages. I had to learn about these things, because if you don't, you would only hate on the rich people, on the wealthy people, and you're just going to be there getting broke, and hating on people, instead of you to like build yourself up, shield yourself, start a business, get your LLC, get your EIN, start writing stuff off of your business. But you're not going to do that. You're going to hate on people. Goddamn.
Of inflation, mayhem, and misery under Kamala and Crooked Joe, and unleash safety, prosperity, peace for Americans of every race, religion, color, and creed. Together we will deliver low taxes, low regulations, low energy costs, low interest costs, low inflation,
And that's for everyone. We're talking about everyone. We want to make sure everyone can afford groceries, a car, and a home. We will stop the invasion, end migrant crime, support our great police, strengthen our military, build a missile defense shield around our country, keep critical race theory and transgender insanity out of our schools, and we will keep men.
Somebody says go to school and don't listen to Genesis because Genesis is slow. How many percentage of people, or how many percentage of children that actually start going to college or university actually finish and use that education to get a job? I'm not going to do your research for you. Go find out how many of these children taking out loans are actually working with their education that they got from college. How many of them are doing it? You don't know. You don't know, bro. Because these people are not even finishing college. They're taking student loans, they drop out, or they finish school, they can't get a job. Because even when you're done in college and university, you still have to start something called training. You think your college, who cares about your college degrees? This day and age, your college degrees don't even matter, bro. You don't.
And out of women's sports. We will defend the Second Amendment, and we're going to restore. Those people don't allow it. The fake news doesn't allow it. We will restore free speech in our country, and we will secure our elections, Mr. Congressman. Everyone will prosper, every family will thrive, and every day will be filled with joy and opportunity and hope. But for that to happen, we must defeat Kamala Harris, a new name. We must stop her country-destroying liberal agenda once and for all. We have to put an end to it. So get your friends, get your family, register, volunteer, and get out to vote. We want a landslide that is too big, too rigged, too big, too rigged. Right? Right, Deb? On November 5th, we will save our country. We will save.
Shout out to everybody watching the live show. You know what time it is. Subscribe to the channel, like the live show, and everybody. Timothy says Trump isn't rich though, so hating on a rich guy doesn't apply to Trump. And that's why he didn't get his salary. That's why he donated his 4 years salary. And he ain't rich. And that's why when you go to New York, you see his building in the skyline. You go to Chicago, you see the Trump Tower in the skyline. Go to goddamn South Carolina, Florida, North Carolina, travel abroad, you see his Trump Tower. And he ain't rich.
Save our economy. We will rescue our middle class. We will.
Shout out to Amanda Levy. You know what time it is. Shout out to Carly. Exactly. Trade schools. Go to trade. That's the word I was looking for. Trade schools.
We will reclaim our sovereignty and restore our borders. We will put America first, and we will take back our country, and together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again, so strong. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. We will make America free again. And we will make America great again. God bless you all. God bless you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Arizona. God bless you all.
To me, this RFK's intro was the best intro ever. This RFK's intro was the best ever.
Of him. He's very low-key. He's a very low-key person.
Victorious One, what research do you want me to, just tell me the exact research you want me to go do. I'm open. Like, I'm open to learning. Just tell me the exact research you want me to go do.
He's highly respected. He is a great person. I've known him for so long. For the past 16 months, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
What research, Dr. Mambo? What research would you like me to go do? Put it in the chat. Shout out to everybody watching the live show. You know what time it is. I just love that intro by RFK. And we have come to the end of the stream, but I'm going to watch this intro one more time. Let's get it. Dr. Mambo, I don't need to go do research for what he did during his presidency, bro. During his presidency, I don't need to go do research. All I need to do is check my bank account, bro. That's all I need to do. Like, that's what somebody told me. Inflation is going down. Google it. What? How do you Google if inflation? All you need to do is go outside and buy some gas, bro. No, Victorious One, you have freedom of speech, and I have freedom of timeout. Time you out, baby. I ain't got time for all that you're doing. Genesis, I'm here to change it. You ain't changing nothing, because I could just and you gone. Or you swipe. You have two options. You swipe, or I do the swiping for you. But anyway, thank you so much for watching the live show. You know what time it is. God bless you. 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 We're gonna be back tonight. I gotta go do what I gotta go do. You know what time it is. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for spending your time with me. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Subscribe to the channel. Like the live show. You know what time it is. Instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. Say that one more time. Instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. All right? God bless you. God bless your family. Shout out to everybody for tuning in. Shout out to every single person for tuning in. You know what time it is. We're back tonight. All right. Love y'all. See y'all later.